Why have the black community gotten poorer since the passage of the Civil Rights Act? Tell me that.
Because of the way the culture has been perpetuated through the years.
Hold on. Think about it. Why is it that black America has gotten richer on average, poorer on average, since America passed all these anti-racist laws?
I can't answer that.
Okay, yeah. So do you think the fact that 70% of black youth don't have a dad around is probably pretty important?
That's because of the culture.
Respectfully allow me to interject. How does the white culture impact the fact whether or not a black dad stays around when he impregnates a woman?
I'm not saying it's the white culture.
What is it?
The culture that has been perpetuated through the 200 years of slavery, the 100 years of segregation, and Jim Crow laws.
The marriage, so I got to interject again, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt too much. But in 1960, before the Civil Rights Act, 20% of black youth had a dad around. Now it's, 20% were single fathers, 80% had a dad around. It's been inverted. So we actually have seen black dads run away from their kids the last 60 years. Why is that?
Because of the raised incarceration rates, because of the perpetuated culture.
So how does one go to jail?
That's obvious. I'm not answering that question.
Yeah, so maybe it's because they committed crimes. The Holocaust was 80 years ago. Half of all the Jews on the planet were killed. Everything they earned was taken. Jews are doing great. They're the wealthiest subgroup, racial group or ethnic group in America. If all of a sudden something that happened 80 years ago impacts your material prosperity, how did Jews defy the curve? How did poor Asians do so well? Why is it that Asians are now the wealthiest minority in America, many of whom came with no money in the 1950s or 60s? Why have the black community gotten poorer since the passage of the Civil Rights Act?
Within 3 weeks of the Watts riots, Lowell Elementary in Riverside, California burned down after a mysterious case of arson. The Lowell bombing, suspected to have started by a Molotov cocktail. The school district agreed to integrate in 1965, making Riverside the first school district in America to desegregate without the enforcement of a court order. In September 15, 1965, integration began with Lowell Elementary School and Irving Elementary, present day, Abraham Lincoln High School, followed by Highland and Hyatt in February 1, 1966. Lowell Elementary no longer exists. The location was on Victoria Avenue and Cridge Street. It is now currently a church.
All aboard!
I'm ready to explode, brother.
To hop aboard my spaceship, because you are now tuned into what is the Matrix. I'm your host, Jason Elm Street Williams, master of the universe, and tonight we're getting into it. We are not the same. But first, I have a special guest, Stephen Willis, coming all the way from the Inland Empire, and Devin, the chosen one.
Let's go, let's go.
So, Stephen, man, let's get into it, brother. What did you feel about that when seeing all of this going on with racism? Who brought racism into America? The European immigration terrorists, and then seeing the killing of the Charlie politician, and then comparing him to MLK. What's going on in the world?
Okay, so my biggest answer to his question, it seems like he, as just a public speaker, is completely unaware of how he got here, and that how the recruitment of people to come here and the white concept, he seemed like he had no idea about it. And this goes for other politicians as well. They don't even know, so I almost don't even blame them. But the facts are there. If you look at the old maps, what they're trying to do now, they're trying to revive mega regions, which we already had. There was California, there was Florida, and there was Tamaree, there was Tamarica. You know what I mean? So we already had these regions that they're ironically going to go back to. Whether it's like the super city of Miami, super city of LA, and then whatever it was, Chicago, we already had that, but we erased that gap. It wasn't us. We didn't erase our own history. And ironically, my grandmother, who had 16 kids, she had acres and acres of land. They built their own houses. What do you think happened to those homes? They burnt to the ground, mysteriously.
That's right.
My mom ended up having one child. Black
Bro,
single mother had one child, and that was me. So her grandmother had 16 kids, never had to deal with poverty or anything. They didn't have to like submit to any silly jobs. They had their own land, their own houses that are on film. They dressed like nobility. They were good people, and in just a snap, my mom has one child. I'm estranged from her. I'm estranged from my father, and then
I'm an
now
only child.
I'm doomed to
Wow.
roam the world. You see what I mean? So
I feel you there, brother. I didn't look at it like that, you know, because my mom has a big family. My dad had a big family, but I'm an only child.
thank you.
Wow, that had to
So
deal. So that had to deal with our land being stolen. So we weren't able to develop families and reproduce like we used to.
because I'm one of
Wow.
14 total. You know, I got 14. My mom and my dad had 14 kids together.
Speak up,
ooh,
And
Devin.
they
see,
were
I
from
want to hear this. I want to hear
they're
this.
from
Yeah,
Arkansas. They were Choctaw, Cherokee Indians, Blackfoot Indians. We have pictures of my grandpa, his grandpa, and what they were labeled as. From my grandpa who died in like 19, who was born in 1903, but he
wow.
died in 1999 or early
But you were
2000.
talking about ley lines last episode,
Oh,
Devin.
yes, bro.
Now, Stephen just made a great point. Uh, Brother Devin, Stephen, he talks about ley lines in
Okay.
America.
Ley
Uh,
lines.
but go
Mhm.
ahead. So
Ley lines that
correlate that with what you're saying, with Stephen saying that they're gravitating to those cities, and that's why they're gentrifying again, LA, the
because
Miami.
those areas are energy centers, right? Look,
Thank you.
areas that all line up to other energy centers. So let's just say if we were to cast spell, like let's just say if you're in a on a ley line and I'm on a ley line, the only difference between us and them is they don't have the connection to the land that we have to the land. Like in Avastar, you know, when we connected our tail to that tree and that tree
Correct.
gave
Yes.
us life, the same thing goes when we're right here on these lands. When we step foot on those hot ley lines and take our shoes off and put our dirt in the sand, we get
Grounding.
down from the sun and through the earth. Because now we connect literally back to the spirit that's on this planet, which now gives us the abilities to connect with nature on a deeper way. And we can also pretty much destroy him if we really wanted to. Just with our thoughts and the words that we can speak, with the spells. Like, because our ancestors was defeating them with just their words. Or just even a thought, because they controlled the nature, they controlled the lands. The
The
biggest
form of
fear,
manifestation. Correct.
So,
yeah, the biggest fear
so
they fear us connecting back to the lands.
So
Right?
right here we have a picture of kind of what Stephen and Devin are touching on as we talk about so-called European, or the term right now, they're saying white men and white people, even though we know that there's no such thing as a black or white person. That's a
Thank you.
social construct, social construct. But in today's episode, we're hearing that talk on the news. White men claiming to be American.
Right.
And right now, when I hear that, I'm thinking of the Ku Klux Klan. I'm thinking of school bombings. I'm thinking of
Yeah.
Remy in the movie Higher Learning. I'm thinking of so-called terrorism.
Let
Because
me,
when I think of it, so you were asking me in the pre-show, why is it so important for us to understand that we did not
yo,
come here as slaves from Africa, and that this was our land and this is our land? It's right here, because if they can scare us off of the land, for one, Stephen says that ends our family, it ends
yes.
our
Can
farming
I tell
because
you?
we're farmers,
Can I tell?
agriculture. Uh,
Can I tell
go
you
ahead.
how
So
they did it? Sorry, I don't mean to interject, Jason. I'm sorry, my brother. I apologize. Um, in that picture that you're showing, I'm gonna tell you what they would do. They would go to these land spots and they would enchant and pray to their god and their deity as a collective, and they would cast spells on our people. So there's history with my ancestors when they went to war with the Ku Klux Klan in Arkansas back in the 30s and the 1940s and stuff
for
like
sure
that.
about that.
They would have to take them
Lovecraft
out.
Country.
We had them. We would take them out. We wouldn't have any weapons like that, but they would take them out with just regular things. They would take the horses down, beat the dude up, take the gun, bop bop. Now we was like we had things in the woods set up to catch them and trap them. That's how we're. That's the reason why we was still here is because we had to kill these motherfuckers. They had bounties on our heads, bro.
Well, the movie Rosewood. This is a real story. Everyone watching the show right now, I want you to go on YouTube and type in the movie Rosewood. This is a story about a town in Florida that was burnt down to the ground. And they said the last Negro homes raised in Rosewood, many of the victims of the Florida race war and the survivors of Rosewood, they hid in the swamps, they hid in the woods. And so once again, like Devin is saying, anytime that we built our own communities, they were burnt down. So,
but they're not. They're not all burnt down, though. That's the thing. So the biggest thing that you see someone like a Nick Fuentes say is they always act like we are in mud huts and that we were always in mud huts and that we've never designed or invented anything. When you can look at the history and you can see that there were Moors and architects in Germany.
Facts.
Yeah.
And they were here as well. So if we were there at both places and this is where the architecture was, why is it that all the Germanic people that came here have done none of that?
Because they're not those people, brother.
They are not the people who built that either. That's the point. That's kind of the point that I'm making is they are brainwashed too. So I don't even blame them because they are brainwashed into thinking that they built that. It's like, then why haven't you done it when you came here? If you didn't do it when you were there, the Germanic people that joined the white concept with the Brits,
yes,
why didn't you do it here or there? So who did it? And they don't know. That's why I don't blame them because they were also tricked. They were brainwashed as well. That's why I need to approach it in a peaceful manner because they don't know any better either. That thing that Charlie said, he had no idea what he was talking about. There was such a simple answer for that. He just asked the wrong person.
Right.
Well, tell us the answer. Tell us your answer, brother.
This is the great divide, and I want to know your guys' opinion on it.
Okay.
The division between cultures, okay, because we know the Moorish background has somewhat an influence from Islam. There's a lot of Islamic wisdom with the architecture. That star that you showed me, there's 8-sided, 7-sided stars. These all go back to like ancient, like before us. You know what I mean? So the divide, in my opinion, comes from religion as well. Because think about it, we all, not all of us, but in today's day and age, who is the one saying like, okay, well that's radical. We're gonna get rid of the Moorish movement because you guys are angry and you guys implemented something that's radical. So your movement is done. And it's like it got squashed. And I'm from the Midwest, so I'm thinking like, how did it get squashed so fast? And it's all starting to add up. Like once it appears radical, they can shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
Anything.
I mean, you know about the Moorish Science Temple. You know about Drew Ali. You know about.
Well, a lot of these people right here at this picture, Brother Stephen, I wanted to put up the Ellis Island picture at the beginning of the
colors are blowing me away.
So we can get to, let's start with the beginning on how the pale-skinned European today misclassified as white, how did they as a collective get here as masses? And we talk about Ellis Island. Recently, over 40% of modern day Europeans can trace their lineage through Ellis Island. Over 14 million people came through the island in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So that means that the Europeans, the pale-skinned Europeans you see today, recently just got here. Yeah, so look at the buildings that were already built when they got here. It's the
had to be there for them to get here. Exactly.
Right. It's the same more castles that you see all throughout the Americas. Anybody who's been to New Orleans, Los Angeles, Chicago, you see the same exact castle. You see the same red and white bricks. You see the dome. You see the aetheric technology on top.
At the top.
You see the art. You see the grand art degrees.
Why does that look like Taj Mahal, and why doesn't it look like Chick-fil-A? Are you getting where I'm coming from? It's like
there you go. So
there's Moorish coins in the water. They found plenty of Moorish coins with Arabic writing all around the Great Lakes. That's where Chicago is and where Detroit is and Michigan, all that. So it's all starting to add up. And the question is, if you look at Germany as well, because of the culture, you would think that there was no dark people there. But we know that there were Moors there.
Facts. I can even bring up a picture that we recently had. But go ahead.
I'm gonna say what probably more than likely it's like what took us down from my research is when we started slicing the genes and the DNA,
Okay.
because our ancestors were scientists, man. We were
Facts.
scientists. We took from our DNA, we took a black man, we took a white man, we took an Asian man, we took all of these different races of people from our DNA, including people that no longer even exist, like green people, our DNA, and we created them. And we started to manufacture them in mass quantities. This is why they came from out of nowhere, because their
Are you
history.
speaking about the orphan trains? I
Yeah,
have a picture right here to the left. What Devin is speaking on. Uh, when the Europeans came, like not too long ago, like in the 80s and 70s, there were all these movies about orphans, European orphans, whether it was the newsies, whether it was kids. So Devin's speaking on where did all these orphans come from? Where were their parents? But I wanted to still stick on topic before we
Okay.
started taking it there, Devin.
We definitely have some
I
good,
didn't know
yeah,
that's
definitely
what
have some
we were
good
going.
tangents to go off on.
You know, so basically with these Moorish castles, what Stephen's saying is that when the Europeans came through Ellis Island, these are the buildings they're looking at. So look at the books, y'all. These are
It's
kid
right
books.
there in front of that kid. That's so funny.
So right. So these are kid books and stamps. So to the right at Ellis Island, a history in many voices. You see a European girl overlooking the sea, right? But look at that Moorish castle. That's the dream that they were taught. That when they came to America, it wasn't that, oh, there's Indians and huts, there's nothing there. No, there's mega mansions, there's mega
Yes,
castles.
thank you. That's
People
why they
went
would
there,
come here. Why would they come to a place
right?
that was just
What they
like desolate?
knew,
They
what they
came
were
here because they
told.
knew it was beautiful. Obviously, like
Yes,
that's.
And they
yes, because
wanted to
this
steal it.
is paradise.
And
So
But
they
the
if
only
they
literally,
question is, my question is,
okay,
there was a point. If you look at history, there was a point, just like in other, like in Spain, just like in Germany, where the Moors were everyone kind of got along. So I'm curious, what made it? What exactly was the influence from the Brits? He's showing it right now. What exactly is the influence from the Brits that got the Germanic people to hop onto the white concept? Is it because they were submitting as well? Because think about it, we were conquered. Yes, they made us slaves, but whoever the fuck came up with the idea that there were just these big boats and everybody was on Amistad and that like, and people still, racist people that I encounter today, they still try to say that you can't build anything. When I've been an art student forever. My drawing skills are next level. I know what I'm worth. I know what I could do. But we still have racist people today who are obsessed with the idea of we be kicking around mud looking for a sandwich when we know that that is not true.
and so what are you asking with that? How did we get to the point to where people don't know their Moorish history, or when you said the Brits came? Because we do have to understand that the original nobility, like
You should
Brother
run the star
Stephen
too.
was talking about, are Moors. So
mm-hmm.
possibly that's who they were fighting against, to separate from the Crown of England, who was the black, or what we call Moorish nobility. But to answer your question, yes, there was a time to where the so-called slaves and the so-called poor whites, what would either be probably Italians or Irish, they said were getting along, and that there was I forgot the not a war, but some type of riot that they talk about. And basically the people in power, let's say the government, saw that so-called the indentured servants were getting along, that they were coming together, that so-called black and white people had finally came together to fight against those in control. So basically, if they can get us to be racist against each other by our skin tone and not having a common bond of authority, who's basically not saying mean, what's another word for being mean, corrupt towards us all, then we the people, not black, white, Christian, Muslim, none of that. We the people can come together based off of certain moral compasses and values and overthrow the government or those in
Thank you.
power and we the people come up with our own laws and morals. And that's not a color. That's not a religion. And that, for me, we used to do in elementary, sometimes in junior high, but right around junior high, that racist bullshit started, to where everyone started sitting at different tables. And that's because of what you were saying. The so-called white kids were taught that we came from Africa, that we were nothing, right? And they were taught that they were superior. And so if you get rewarded for that over time, you
believe it.
Hold on to that and you believe it. So like you said,
both believe lies. Both sides have believed a huge lie. I think King Charles.
It goes to this though, real quick.
What's the concept in there you're talking about? Because you said Remy.
Higher learning, like how the white supremacists took the Nazi symbol, the swastika, wrong. So they're brainwashed. The whole modern day neo or new Nazi movement is brainwashed because the original Nazis are Moors. Because the original people to come up with these designs that represented star systems and traveled the 7 seas are Moors. Because who traveled the 7 seas? That's us. Who were they fighting on the waters? Who are the original pirates? That's us.
Well, you know what's funny? At the top of the Freedom Tower is what? It's copper, but what else? It's a sailboat. It's a giant boat. It's a copper tipped, and I've been showing it. That's why I showed it to you. I sent it to you in the message. And you know what's so funny about the one that's here? It was also a place for other refugees, for other people from other places to come here in Miami. So it's not like it's just Ellis Island; it's other places as well. And like I said, if you look at the old maps, where he's talking about the Mojave Indians, it was California, Florida, Tamari. It was America, California, and then Florida. If you look at Florida, there were natives here. You can look at the Moor and what is it, the Emerald Cluster. There were tribes there who clearly looked like us. Like it's not like it's speculation. We have the artifacts, we had the receipts. So I'm curious though, where do we go from here? Because we're at a point now where
we gotta take back the land, man.
How do we do here? Look, this is how.
I got a website I'm gonna share with you guys.
Please, yeah, sure.
Our family has like probably.
So how do we?
Give them a solution.
The solution to getting the land. The solution.
If they took our receipts and burnt the houses down, what do we do?
Well, we can reclaim it, man. We got to become our own archaeologists. So when we're digging up and we're pulling up these bones, it's matching us. You know what I'm saying?
But he's saying that's not a solution. That's just rhetoric.
It's easy to get squashed because they've already done it. Because what's the biggest fear right now? Anytime you say the word reparations, they're gonna shut it because they think that you're trying to come for money, and they think if you put the money in the hands of these people, that it's over for the white concept.
Yeah, we got.
If you do reservations, that means if you do reservations, they think in their mind they're like, I don't care how I got my suburb, I'm keeping it. So in their mind, yeah. So like, oh wait, are you coming back for my area? And it's like, no, we don't want that. If you look at Apalaca, Florida, the Moorish temples are still there.
We gotta use the law. We gotta use the laws that they're setting against them, like what they're doing with the Mexicans, how they're getting them out of here. We gotta turn around and use that against them. Fight them at this is what you're saying. You guys are freaking colonizers. You guys are land invaders.
But why? Okay, so here's my question though.
Yeah.
There's so many Germanic people here. It's incredible. If you look at the history and you look at the layout, the genealogy, there's so many Germanic people here before they kind of linked up and made the white concept with the Brits. Where did we get? Because they lost their culture too. Because think about it, they weren't like, not everybody was Christian, not everybody was Muslim. We all kind of at one point we had some type of in touch with nature, like the Druids had that, the Moors, the Mojaves, and obviously there's like the Iroquois. So what happened? I feel like we got lost in the sauce. It's not just us. It's like it's other people too. It's like did the Germanic people fall for a trap too?
Yes, everyone did. That's the whole point. We all are victims of the rat race. We're all victims of the matrix. We've all been poisoned. That's the whole point of the show, is that it doesn't matter at this point what color you are to that extent. It's the content of your character. But like you were saying, there's so many snakes in the pit. How do we know which ones are poisonous and which ones are not?
Because a big point that I'll make is, and this is why I lead the conversation by saying I'm not looking for a free meal, because if you look at the reservations, whether it's the Seminoles or whoever, it's when you go through this type of like oppression, and then all of a sudden all this money and land comes to you, it can mess up the next generation. That's why you see so many meth addicts, alcoholics, with people who
Yeah.
are wealthy kids, right? So I know that I don't want it to swing that hard, because it might disrupt our culture. You know what I mean? But there's something needs to happen. I just don't know. I know it sounds childish, but I don't know what the answer is.
You see it right
Besides
here, brother.
reservations. Like,
Well, that's what it is. We're fighting for the land. When we understand, it's not fighting for civil rights. It's not fighting for. This is our land. So if we can get that concept when we talk about reservations, the reason why we say reservations is that basically you're saying, I want to be blocked off for racist white people, and now the other people who have been brainwashed by them. That's basically what a reservation is that we want to be able to practice our culture of farming, living in peace,
have museums and everything.
Building our artifact, building, creating, innovating without the disruption of an invader. That's basically what we want. And so what they want, some of them feel that it's natural to colonize and kill and murder, and a lot of them because they lack neuromelanin. And then the very few who want to be our students, they understand that we're the ones who taught them how to farm. We're the ones who taught them even how to survive in America. Because when we remember the first colonists and settlers, they were dying off. They were eating each other. It was us as Indians, because we are a loving people. Yeah, we had our own beasts, but we are a loving people at the end of the day. Because
do you think that was a critical mistake?
Yeah, well, there you go. Because we also have to remember this, that when they came in with their diseases and their smallpox, over 80% to 95% of us died. So that leaves a very few amount of us to fight. And then when they misclassified us as black and had our minds thinking African, we're not thinking that we're here in the Indian Wars.
But we have receipts.
Right.
We have receipts that say, oh, you were this? Well, we have a color grade now. This color system means we don't know what tribe you were, and you don't know what you are anymore. So now you're black.
Right. And so right here we see the tribe Massey Indians. And so anytime anytime y'all see the word Yah, Y-A, that can start referring that to you. So you have to start learning etymology first to break the spell, to break the curse.
Well, look what they did to our names. Look at how they make fun of our names. They call us Bonquisha, and they call us all this, thinking that our names mean nothing. They think our tribal name, they think our names mean absolutely nothing. They think it's some monkey language, like we just don't know anything. And they tell us that in the media, how they make fun of us because we don't have the same names. And it's just like, you don't even know that our names meant something. If you compare it with the Hebrew text, or you compare it with the Native American languages, like whoever the natives are in the Southwest, like Arizona and California, it's all similar. So you're making fun of a culture that you don't know because we don't have the same names as when you guys came over here.
Right.
So now it's like you institutionalize everyone to be ashamed of their names. So let's when I work a sales job, I'm gonna say my name is whatever. You know what I mean? So I can fit in at this customer service job.
Wow.
You hide who you really are to blend in for the institution. So it's like I said, we are kind of lost in the sauce, and I don't really know what to do besides the idea of like a reservation. There was a point where we got somewhere, but I feel like the religion thing kind of scared everyone. Because the Malcolm X thing, I think, scared people. I think the Drew Ali thing scared people.
Well, those are the people who are not going to be on the promised land, or what today they might call the reservation. They're not going to be on the land because they're scared. You know, in order to win a basketball game, football game, a track race, you have to step in those blocks knowing you're going to win, or knowing you've practiced your best to win.
So do you think that?
So yes, that is the answer, brother. Having our own cities, but in our minds, our people don't even know that we built our own cities. In their minds, they don't know that the downtown LA, Miami, Los Angeles, those mega buildings that they see were ours and are ours.
They built the Miami Bridge on top of the hieroglyphs. You can look it up. They built the Brickell Bridge on top of the hieroglyphs. The only thing that they left behind were these little crop circles. You can Google it. Google Miami Circle and look at the Brickell Bridge. They built the bridge right on top of it. So now it's gone. They have this little sign that says this was here, and then it's like it's. I mean, here's the thing. My biggest thing is, like I said, do you think it's important to leave religion out of it? Because now, if you implement somebody else's ideology, now you're answering to a higher authority somewhere else.
Well, that's the whole point I was saying.
Do you think that was a mistake?
What entity you're summoning?
Go ahead, brother Chad. Welcome, brother Chad Elam.
Hey, Chad, what's up?
To the chat.
All right.
So Stephen proposed a question on a solution. What is the solution now that you see that they're preparing for an attack? This murder of the Charles guy had nothing to do with our people. The guy was so-called white, and yet you see it seems like they're preparing to attack. Imagine if that brother was black. Imagine the state of this country if that man had been set up to be black. So what are the solutions, Chad? Stevens was speaking on reservations, like I said, having our own land and identifying with this. And then also preparing to, like our ancestors did. I feel a lot of us left into Africa at one time when the great earthquakes and the divulge happened. A lot of us left as well. But what are your solutions, Chad, to basically these Indian wars that haven't stopped? Because now that we know that we're the Indians and we're looking at the Seminole Wars, 1818 to 1858, right. America's longest standing conflict. Right. When we understand that we are those Indians, right, we are still at war with the Europeans who came and invaded our land. They brought smallpox, so they brought COVID again, right? Right. And who were the people who died the most from their diseases?
Come on.
Our people, right?
Come on. They gave us blankets, sneezes, cough. They brought all kind of type of diseases from Europe. The Yamasi War. I seen you guys just had that posted. The Seminole Wars. You see, I seen John Horst just posted a moment ago. He was just one of our best heroes. The thing with me is, in terms of like a solution, is definitely gonna have to be knowledge. You see, just over this, I want to say maybe 2, 3, 4 years, black people start waking up to noticing, hey, we have claim to this land. We're black, we're Indian. I think I was explaining to somebody not too long ago. I think I was talking to you about it. Family reunion T-shirts had Indian feathers on the back of them. My people are from Florida. They're part of Seminoles.
Thank you.
This is something that, people like to hide, or they make joke of. You got a little Indian in your family, kind of try to deter you away from saying who you really are. You can remember back in the early 90s, we made jokes to kind of make fun of, and that was real. People did have Indian in their family. And if we did take that seriously, we'd have that claim today, right? White people, we all know about the $5 Indians, how they bought their way into it, right? And they have always wanted to deter us to go straight to Africa. So we're just lost in the sauce out here, not understanding our claims of what we fought in every single war from the beginning, what you guys just had up to obviously today, all of them.
I was saying that they're brainwashed too. Like, they don't know that
knowledge at this point, because you got to understand, as I know we all know, a lot of us are lost, and the more of us that wake up, I think that's when action will start to take place. But to do action without no one knowing what we even are, we're very mixed up people, and people try to make fun of it, but that's not our fault. A lot of us think this the way that if we woke up to understanding who we are and our real claim, I think that we could start moving waves. A lot of us are caught in, will die for certain causes that have nothing to do with us.
Our energy and these ley lines, us realizing that we control the ley lines, that means we control this earth. This land was given to us.
We're the copper-skinned people, yeah.
Come on.
We're the copper-skinned people. So when we reach down and we touch this soil is from us. It's in our DNA. Come on. So our DNA, whatever you want to say, is a spirit, the mother spirit that they always talk about. That is our spirit to use. So if we learn to connect on these ley lines, we can destroy these people just with our thoughts. Man, our superpowers, man. We got connections to this land and ancestors that are also connected to this land that was here long before them. If we tap into that, bro, nature will turn against them. They will get ran off the land. The land will turn against them. It's being given back to us right in front of our eyes. Everything's being given back to us.
Like Stephen was always also asking, this was part of the brainwashing, y'all. The dark history of Indian boarding schools. These are not stories. But so what it is that they created Indian training schools. Look to the left, y'all. When we used to see the Indians, they were dark skinned. How did they get so light skinned? Even the Native Americans, not the Indians.
Are you talking about the Southwest?
This in general, the $5 Indians and the Native Americans that we see today, they were still dark skinned originally. They weren't light skinned. You understand what I'm saying? So when we even look to the left and then to the right, we see a type of photo doctoring. We see that these people are actually Asians.
Siberian theory.
So the Asian slaves, there's a book out I want everyone to go look, and you can go on YouTube. It's called Asian Slaves in Colonial Mexico, from Chinos to Indians, right there. Because also remember that the original Asians are dark-skinned, woolly-haired people. So what Asians did they bring? Did they bring the pale-skinned ones? Did they bring the ones that were already raped? Because when we look at the Polynesian or the melanated Asians, they're mixed with us.
Clearly.
So,
and they acknowledge it too. They acknowledge it too.
They know that though.
Any Samoan or Tongan person, they act like one of us. I mean, come on now, like. But they've maintained their tribal identity. I just don't understand how. Maybe it's I don't get it, bro. I feel like I'm not fully educated on it either, but I'm kind of blown away that.
But the Tongans, they stick together because like a tribe, just like the pale-skinned Europeans, how they stick together like they were tribes, the way they are, different DNA. But as far as the Tongans and the Samoans, they stick together, but they've been brainwashed as well. A lot of our Pacific Islander brothers and sisters are Mormon now. They're Christian. So
I brought this up. And nobody answered me. I brought this up and nobody answered me. I asked the question. Do you think that was a critical mistake? Because not just us with the Islamic influence, but with the Protestant influence. I know you guys have seen gangs in New York. The Protestant influence and the Catholic influence. It's like there's something going on there. I don't mean to insult anybody's faith, but all of us were shamans. We were all shamans, bro. Like the Druids.
Yeah,
like
natives. Yeah, I agree.
Metal Nature. That's what Egypt is. That's why they also take us away from the education system of Kemet in Egypt.
Institutional religion. It's like a barrier.
It's not necessarily the place of Egypt. That's why we can find edifices and pyramids in Mexico and California and Riverside of Egypt. It's the education system.
Right.
It's the knowledge. So the ancient Egyptian gods and goddesses are based off of Mother Nature. Alchemists. So like Devin was saying, once we plug in, and Chad was saying, once we plug in the real nature, which we talk about, but also having our knowledge to back it up, having two swords, you know what I'm saying? Having your tongue as your sword, your mind as your sword, and your avatar, your physical body. So it's really the knowledge that's really going to free us. That's the main thing, but it is religion. And the reason why is because religion traps people in an artificial reality that never would existed if a person didn't present them with that ideology.
I've been doing it. I'm just now getting out of it. It's just like, I don't want to insult anyone's stage or what stage that they're in, but if you look at not just us, because I don't want to make it just us, there's shamanism everywhere, and it all has to do with astronomy. Astronomy, architecture, all this stuff was all over the world, and how did it get crushed so fast? I'm just like, kind of blown away by it.
Can I tell you how it got crushed? Constantine Christianity. When they came on these lands, they were forcing them on them. They made it against the law for our people to do magic. That's how they beat us. They stopped our magic. They killed the men. You know what I mean? They started raping the daughters, but they didn't do it to all of us. But they forced the Bible down everybody's throat to believe in this when we already knew about what they were saying, because they're like, you guys got that from us. That book doesn't even pertain to you. Your interpretation, you guys took it and you guys flipped it to something different.
Exactly.
That's not even what it really is.
To control people.
Yeah.
And that's education. That is indoctrination.
They put
it's a form of education, which is a form of control. Yeah.
So it's mixed with religion, and education, because religion basically is in people's minds a higher form of education. That's why people still go to church. It puts them in a different reality in their mind. Like when you read a book and then you go watch the movie. You remember as a kid when you used to read a book and then you see the movie and you'd be like, man, I didn't like the movie. Why? It's because when you were reading that book, you as an individual had your own relationship with those words. And so you, whether it was a Harry Potter book or whether it's a Bible, you're creating those words are spells, and those spells create worlds. And so now when people worship God and Jesus, when people say, oh, I believe in God, they forget, like you were saying, that God is a Germanic word. We originally might go, cuckoo.
Yeah. Wait, who's in here? Is this Chad? Chad at the bottom?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So are you in South Florida? Is that where you're from?
No, I'm from California.
Okay, but you're in South Florida now.
No.
Okay, you're in California. I thought you had roots in South Florida.
I do, for sure.
Okay, because out here, they still have, it's kind of decrepit, but they still have like first of all, they still have the Moorish temples, which people kind of forgot about. And like I said, that no one wants to mention that there are hieroglyphs that they built bridges on, right. And there's they put landmarks around. Oh, this was here, and that's it. It's just like, okay, I guess we'll acknowledge this little crop circle as a place, but we're gonna build this hotel and this bridge on top of this. And it's not like it's just happened there; it's happened.
They're putting
all over
locations, man, and this is
because
people are attracted to it. It's all energy.
That's why they built it there, though. They was like, okay, I'm gonna build this here. They know. That's what I'm saying. Like they know. I don't know how to. I don't know how to.
So if they
I don't know how to find the receipts. I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's gonna take like
Google
a team effort.
Ley lines.
Well, look right here.
You gotta understand, our people will put our feet in the dirt and would activate the ley lines.
Right.
What I'm saying, we would activate the ley lines on the different continents that are on the different places on this part of the world, like all the way down through Mexico and Brazil. Man, our feet was in the dirt. We was chanting, making noises. We was tapped into vibrations. We was hitting things that was like ding. Everybody that stayed in that spot, bodies got healed of whatever disease, sickness, or illness it was.
So right here, what you were speaking on, that they know. I want everybody to look at the Statue of Liberty. A lot of us, even looking at this, don't know that the Statue of Liberty was built on top of an ancient temple.
Yeah.
So once again, this is more proof
geometry. I'm looking at it,
that they had. Basically, you could clearly see they stole our ancient Moorish maps. They burnt down. We learned about the Spanish Inquisition. So basically, they were stealing our books, stealing our maps. This is how they were able to find these mud flood cities, meaning that after the cataclysm and after our death of being poisoned by 90% of our population and the devastation, they had the maps to go to these cities and dig out the rubble, like you were saying. How did they know to go searching for the Fountain of Youth? How did they know about El Dorado? And then how did they know
Arizona, all that stuff? Yeah.
Right. How did they know that the Statue of Liberty was actually a vortex? So right here, we see that us as Moors and Moors, as the ancient ones on the islands of New York, like ODB and them brothers family, they say, so-called Black Indians, we were already in New York, which they want to call the land Turtle Island as well. But right here, we see the, some would say talk or the quilpuff. I have to pronunciate the Hebrew better. But the housing and the essence of holiness, the peel, the husk, the shell. And some say it would be inherently evil if they would change the geometry to the building, just like they do with the swastika. When you study the Hemet Maze stone that we were showing you last week, they recently put a swastika on the bottom of that maze stone to throw that energy off. So it's the same thing they do with our ancient structures you see in America. When you see those domes everywhere in your downtown areas, and it's either still copper or it looks like copper was taken off, but you see that rod that Stephen was saying, but that rod is now replaced with a cross. That's changing also the energy, because imagine what other symbols were there. But when we see that cross, we refer to the cross as Jesus in Christianity instead of referring to the cross as a north, south, east, and west, which can guide us through the star system. So basically, so long story short, to end it, right here we see star forts. We see that before the Europeans arrived to New York, that these buildings were built with sacred geometry, which hold energy in vortexes, but they use it in reverse, like Ghostbusters. You remember in the movie Ghostbusters, part one, how they were on top of those New York skyscrapers and it looked like obelisks, and they were saying Dozier, right? And who is Dozier or Zozier? Dozier, the ancient pharaoh. So right there, we talk about these cities like New York are vortexes. So it's not just the pyramids. There's temples all around us. So clearly they put the Statue of Liberty on top of it because there's either something still in there or it's to block off the energy of what was there. So look.
Well, do you think that they make? Do you think that they make it? Do you think they make it chaotic? Because if you look at behind the scenes, if you look at the newspaper, there's like real estate wars going on downtown. People fighting over it, doing real estate deals, trying to acquire the stuff. But as long as I've been in downtown LA, it's always been chaos and it's always been crazy. It's always been wild. It's always been like polluted. But there's great artists there. Do you think that they make these places chaotic like that on purpose so you don't populate in that area?
Yes, well, like the city of Compton. The city of Compton used to be swamps. There were cowboys over there. There's pyramids in the city of Compton. There's still Moorish mausoleums in the city of Compton. What does that mean? That means that there were black Indians already there, hence tar babies, Tartaria, because tar people, Tartarian. So in order to circumvent the knowledge of the gods coming back in the city of Compton in LA, what did they do? They gave us gangster rap. So instead of saying peace God, peace more, what's up, son? How it was supposed to be in Compton in Southern California, like the brothers in New York, that was supposed to come out here.
They cut that off.
So they circumvented it, killed Eazy-E, had Dr. Dre and Ice Cube and them arguing over one troglodyte. One European came in and broke the brothers up and created a new narrative. Because you remember Eazy-E had the song Original G's, Original Mother and G's. Imagine if Eazy-E never died and that song would have kept the wave. That's no Snoop Dogg, there's no Dr. Dre, and it's a possibility for Eazy-E to become revolutionary and to not teach his brothers to kill each other, but teach the brothers to get out of the streets and become businessmen and take over their respective cities as we once did. So when we talk about the brothers in Brooklyn, there were brothers in Brooklyn. When you talk about Miami, the brothers with gold teeth and the chains, there were brothers in gold teeth and chains. When you talk about the Wild Wild West, the Califias, because the sun's always shining, we got the energy, you know what I'm saying? So they would say the craziest Indians were on the West Coast. You know, the most violent ones are on Florida because we're by the water, we're by the sun.
You know the theory. You guys are all in Southern California right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so the theory is, which I want to know what your guys is. If you Google it, they're going to say that it started in the Bronx. But if you ask anybody that's in the game, they said that they went to the West Coast and that's how they found the beat. The hip hop beat that everybody knows, that like that simple hip hop beat. They say that it was from there. It was from Southern California. They said that they heard it in LA and they brought it. A business person brought it to the East Coast. I don't know if that's true, but that's, I mean, if you listen to West Coast hip hop now, it still sounds like that tribal. It's like five sounds. It's that snap, it's that beat, and it's like
area we're at that we're pulling from.
It's still stayed the same. And people who don't know the history, I feel like they say that, man, you're still on that sound, but it's like that sound is like it's native to that area. That's why it doesn't sound like that any other place in the entire world. Like the music that comes out of there, it doesn't sound, whether it's the Cali Swag District or whatever you call it, like that that doesn't sound like anything anywhere else in the world for that reason.
And that's
It
how
has
it
to
was
be, bro.
supposed to be. Just like you said, each region is supposed to have a different lingo, a different slang, a different innovation, a different way of farming, a different business. That's the whole point of being a god, or what today they call mers and mores. You trade with your brothers over there. You hit the water highways and you trade. Because when you're building with knowledge to the sun, I can visit my cousin way over there, and you guys have a different education system that I can use, and then so we'll trade, and then that's how this maintains the wealth. So what the record labels and the government does, it takes away our culture. Just like you were saying, every region of Indians supposed to sound different. The drum beat's supposed to sound different, the way we move, because the way the sun shines on us, the way the wind hits us, the certain animals that go cuckoo are, you know,
That's true. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
that's how we
But like,
communicate.
but what do we do though? The only thing I can think of is everyone that can preserve something. They either start a school, they start a temple, or they start like a nonprofit. I don't really know what the first step would be. Is it
I
to just
have a
get
not.
on?
That's what we have. I'm about to be a real doctor. I have my master's degree. I have my bachelor's degree. Even though our community doesn't respect education as we should, we're doing things in real Southern California. When, like out here, I had a tour van when I was in my 20s with pyramids
Okay.
and spaceships on it. So progression. I have a 501c3 LLC. We have the virtual reality campus. We're building. So we just have to accept the fact where we're at as a people and build these communities and conversations where we are at right now. So
But
we
how do
know
we
that
reacquire the mounds? How do we reacquire the mounds and the architecture?
we
Because I know that you have a van, but that's
well,
still something that's
oh
like,
no. But basically, I'm
oh
saying
no,
we're building on that. So basically, now with the 501c3s and the nonprofits and the doctorates, now we have the credentials, just not just running our mouths, but also in their system. So when we do have the economics and the funding, when we do get it, and we get the land and we start building up. So that's really what it is learning your economics, getting the funding, getting correct with your with a righteous 501c3 that does have a real realistic mission, whether it's getting our brick and mortar. That's not a pipe dream. We're really
yeah.
opening a brick and mortar with everything that we talk about in it. It's the small steps. Yeah, we want the land. Yeah, we want the farm. Yeah, the land line. But what are we doing now? We're doing the show. We have businesses. My brother Chad has his real business, and he's able to teach me and other people on how to build a business, build economics, and we start building from there. So from now on, this time next year, Stephen, we might have, well, let's not say might, we have the brick and mortar. Now you have an opportunity to come and break bread. Now you have an opportunity to innovate. But yes, the main goal is to get the land back. And whether you want
And
to
the
say,
buildings.
Indian reservation, that's a start. You get 10 acres of land, that's an Indian
That's enough
reservation.
people. Hey,
You
thank you.
know,
And if you stay there long enough, and you plant your flag like other people did when they came here and said, "Ha, God promised us this, and we're starting the white concept." Like just how people did that to us. It's like, well, this is this old building. You're not tearing this building down and building a McDonald's. We're gonna keep this building here. We're keeping that
yes.
serpent. We're keeping that serpent mound here. You're not taking the hieroglyphs. You're not taking the tablets or whatever the hell we find. And it's just a sanctuary, just like any other place that's like a religious place where you're not allowed to tear it down.
Well, there you
Yeah,
go. So that's what they've done. You just said it. They're claiming our property
exactly.
because we're not claiming it for ourselves.
Yeah, a
Our
lot of
people
us.
believing in God. They claiming God. They're claiming a
Yeah,
word.
exactly.
They believe in God. They believe in Jesus. But you don't believe in the land. You don't believe in the
No.
air. Oh, that's God. We believe in the Bible. That's not real.
Yeah, there's
That
a lot of
doesn't exist
brainwashing.
in reality, homie. You know what I'm saying?
Who knows if that? Who knows if we'll survive to see a day when you're allowed to debunk that? Because so many
We're
evil
doing
people
it
hide
now.
behind it. So many evil people hide behind it. It's like, how do you debunk it without maybe even pissing off your own people? Because
Well, that
it's
well,
crazy to
that's
enslave somebody and slap them with a book and say, "This is what you read," and
Right.
all of a sudden you're
But
indoctrinated with this thing, and it's just like,
the funny part about it is they took the book from us and then mixed the shit up and confused a whole bunch of different people. You know what I'm
I
saying? They
told
took
you
out
that. I
the
told you
butcher,
the
they
shamanism,
took out
the
the butcher.
attachment to the spices, the attachment to the herbs, the attachment to the plants and everything. It was already there, and then it's just somehow we lost it, and it's just like it's a crime to humanity, in my opinion.
There
Yeah,
you
I think
go.
they
It
use
is
the
a
book to
crime to
their advantage
humanity.
on
Because,
just kind of use
go
it,
ahead.
like you said, use the Bible in terms of religion. We all know it's man-made, and like the brother up there said, I think originally it did come from us. However, they've mixed it up and they've used it to their advantage and try to say, furthermore, as far as like the supremacy of whiteness in terms of Jesus making them white with stringy hair, they want you to see and bow down to that. They don't want to bow down to the original color, even if the book is, you know, made up or from a different, source that they got it from, which we
Mm-hmm.
know in Kemet was where 90, if that original story of Kemet is the same story that they're going off, I think it was 6,000 years prior to the book even being made, right? So it's embarrassing when you start really learning the knowledge and then seeing what they did to it, and just the depiction of all the pictures that we have to look at, and what they want us to bow to, and it just shows their racism. It's just they're really sick people. And a simple one thing I always do to simplify is just a simple chat GPT. We all use it. Just ask, hey, when did white people come in this world? Come on
And they're just
Earth?
like, yeah, it's just like the computer is literally just like spitting out info that
It
they don't. That
breaks.
computer just has no idea that how important that info is to us. That picture right there is mind blowing to me. That
What do you guys
Mojave in
what do you
that
guys
picture
feel
right
about
there is mind blowing.
what do you guys feel about that when you see we are not the same and them martyring this guy? And I don't agree with Dr. King's philosophy, but
Right,
to put him on the level of a Dr. King is
right.
once again erasing history in front of our eyes. It's
White
erasing the
supremacy.
importance of
Right.
our leaders. It's not necessarily me having to agree with Dr. King, but we're seeing it happen again. We're seeing the
Worst thing
preparation
we could do
of
is sit here.
them
Well,
preparing for war.
Worst thing
These are
if you go
war
to
crimes.
Pacoima,
the worst
if you go
thing.
to downtown, if you go to downtown LA, if you go to Pacoima, you go to any of these places, I walk around and I see the homeless people look like me, and I'm just like, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. So if you were already here, and then it's just like you're looking around, and it's just like that person doesn't even have a housing authority to report to. So we're just roaming. If you go to every major city and you see homeless black people in Harlem, or you see them in Miami, or you see wherever, it's just like that is not right. But we've been conditioned to see it so much. We've been conditioned to see it so much, and it's like that person is from here. That's why we don't have attachment to anywhere else. And
Mm-hmm.
they keep, what I mean, it's like it's like they're pushing us into different areas where we're just not going to be housed. The housing crisis is insane, and all the
That's
stuff
what
that
they're
was there
doing.
before
ICE was
is
a
not
big
there.
wake up for a lot of people that didn't understand that we could have sworn up and down that we're going to get sent here, we're going to get sent there and sent there. As the government, as we know, the government already knows you can't send us anywhere because we're from here.
Right.
So when the time came, everybody felt stupid and they realized. I mean, the only person
Yeah,
of all people that's not an immigrant is us. We're not immigrants. Every last
it's
one of these people on this, including all these white people, they're all immigrant. We're the only people that aren't to this land. That's the real truth.
ask. I want you to go ask a Nigerian person if they actually believe that all that stuff happened at that little border. They laugh and they act like they don't really know for sure because they're being told something too.
Hold on.
Hey,
When you refer to
They
that, what do you
all
speak of? When you
confusing
saying that
everybody,
stuff that happened
man.
at that border, what are you talking
These
about?
white
so
motherfuckers.
there's the story that all these people came out of this one area in Nigeria, and they put this little monument there, and that's pretty much how they pretty much helped the lie to keep going. It's the same thing with some other place I'm not going to mention where they say this is where Moses was, so they built this little thing. If you ask a Nigerian American person, do you believe that happened at that place where all this happened, and you guys sold your own people, and there were all these big boats, and we all just came over here at this one time on some type
Okay.
of
You're talking about just
Amistad?
the regular North American slave trade thing.
Yeah, the normal history indoctrination, and they'll tell you
Yeah,
the same thing. They're like, I don't know, they don't.
They're
You know what I mean? They
yeah.
don't know either because they're
they're
being
not.
told something too.
That
Somebody went there
story.
and told them that.
That story, this is another big hint I'll tell you to kind of piggyback off that, brother, is that story's only told to us. So when you go to their school systems in Africa, they don't teach the North American slave trade in Africa, nowhere out there. So a lot of
They
them
don't
out
claim
there,
us for a reason. Thank you.
a lot of them out there are
Yeah, like
unaware of when they say, hey, did you know about? They're like, what happened? The what?
What?
They
Yeah.
did what? And it blows
They
my
ain't know
mind, but
we
that's the truth.
indigenous to these lands.
And that's a fact, and I can speak to that because in '06 when I went to South Africa, once again my father had warned me like, "Yo, son, be careful out there." And I'm like, "Man, I grew up in Riverside. I used to race."
I'm from Southern California. Yeah, exactly.
And no, man, I had a rifle pulled in my face by Africanos, so-called white African. You know, called me a
The
nigger.
Afrikaans, yeah.
I haven't
Yes.
been
Super
called
racist.
nigger more in my life than when I was in South Africa.
South Africa.
And me looking up on them, the South Africans would be like, "Brother, how did you do that?" And I'd be like, "Do what? I've never seen a black man stand up to a white man like that."
Because I know who the fuck I am. What do you mean? Like, I know who the fuck I am. Like, what?
But it's because they in South Africa, they hadn't seen that representation of a white dude pulling a rifle on you and you having no fear, or them calling you nigger and you getting in their face like, "Yo, what's up?" They don't see that. They gave them Nelson Mandela. They gave them Christianity. They gave them a religion of their oppressor. Like the Zulus taught me. I said, "Why are you guys living in huts?" I have to ask. And I said, "I'm not being offensive, but when I go back to America, they're gonna ask me that. Oh, Jason, you guys are king, but why are they living in huts now?" He laughed.
That's the biggest racial scam ever. Is that when you go on the internet?
He said, brother, they come and they bring diseases, and so after everyone dies, they come back like the savior. Then they bring supplies. Then they take them, and then they go to war. Sometimes it'll be the Christian people, sometimes the Muslim. And then he said, so it doesn't allow us to develop our culture. He said, we would already have this. And then, so when you start going throughout Africa and see the so-called Africans building all these skyscrapers, that's when it hit me. I said, well, shoot, if brothers want to be lazy in America, I'm going to get the Africans to build my buildings when we get it cracking. But basically what it did is it showed me what I don't see in Southern California. You used to see construction workers who look like us, much love, but now they're all Mexicans for the most part in Southern California. But when I went out to Africa, I saw them building up, even though it was modern. And so it clicked in me. And then once again, when they said, brother, it's going to be you to teach the people about us here and teach them, and we'll bridge the gap. And that's one of the solutions too, Stephen, is that when enough of us, it doesn't take all of us, it's just a few of us who get our collective consciousness together, forming our collective businesses. And now when we go to Africa, we have our business, we have our doctor degrees, we have our paperwork, and now we're doing business and trade again with our brothers in Africa to become the wealthiest people again on the planet. And it's a family thing. So when you talk about Walmart, when you talk about the Trumps, those are families. And so we have to form our own families again, just like us, just like Chad. We form our clans and tribes again, whether it's 10 of us or more, 10 conscious brothers and sisters who are conscious like this, have their business together, are more powerful than 10,000 Christians running around with their heads off. Because even if they have money and making all this, if they haven't created the Indian reservation by now, it's not going to happen. So it's us. It's us.
This is the biggest question.
So go ahead.
This is a huge question. This might be uncomfortable. This might be uncomfortable for some people, because throughout history we've almost got there, and we have an alliance that doesn't work out. Okay, we're taught that the enemy right now are the two biggest pieces of land, Russia and China, and that they are like. And if you look at them, how religious are they? Are they, like what's going on here? But we're told that they are the enemy, right? They've both experienced slavery and things like that as well, right? Is there a chance that some people are on the wrong side of history? So we are. It seems like everyone in this group chat is kind of on the same page that religion is like, it's institutional and a lot of it is bullshit and it's used to control people willingly. Like, you're willingly putting the chains on because you're participating in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Are we going to be able to do this without using that institution? Because it's been a lifeline. It's been a lifeline. So do you think that we're going to be able to do this without using Muhammad or using Jesus or using Hebrew Israelite? Like,
man, You got to
Yeah, we
understand the
don't.
entities and the deities and all that stuff that you're summoning when you're saying those names. You're inducing an entity, a spirit that's there to suppress you. So it's like if you call on something, another name, you're calling on that entity. You got to understand that we are living in a world where there is
With
energies that we
commands, yeah.
cannot see that are there. And you're calling it by its name, so it only aligns to that particular vibration. Certain names I don't even speak out of my mouth because I understand the power of my words.
So do you think that we're going to be able to do this? Like, if you watch the Viking
I
show,
know we
watch
will.
the Viking show. They refuse to bend to Christianity, and the dude dies. And allegedly that story is true. He refused to bend to. I want to remain a druid or whatever the hell that dude was. Are we going to be able to do the same thing? Because I feel like before, if you look at the Moorish Science Temple, there was obviously Islamic influence. There's been other movements where it was like Christian Baptist influence, especially in I see in Florida. I'm doing my research. And I'm looking at it, I'm just like, is this little like lifeline that we choose to pick up every time we do this, has that been hurting us this whole time?
Yes, that's the key. That's one of the keys is the religious concept. Rewind, redo. It puts people in a time loop. That's why you see black people stuck in time. That's why, oh boy, like they said, he was saying things that was uncomfortable for black folks when he was saying, as far as, you know, saying obvious things that we know would be considered racist, but also in the truth to ignite people. So,
well, it's pretty incredible that he didn't know, though. It's incredible that people
did.
like that.
The CIA, all these dudes and people are CIA agents, y'all. That's why I said I don't agree. I don't believe that this was real. Why? From also looking at the shirt, looking at the thing. Much love to all people, but you have to learn that the world is a stage. You have to understand that these people plan these events. They want people in the house. They want people eventually all on the virtual reality headsets. They want people on the computers. Why? So they can bring out the robots. So they can get the final human shutdown. So they can bring out the humanoid robots that look like you and I. So in 10, 20 years from now, culture, as you know, will be gone. A musician, a real live concert will be gone. A real live teacher will be gone. Real food will be gone. It won't matter about black and white. It's going to be robot versus human.
You mentioned the year. You mentioned the year 1903, and it brings me back to the Altadena fires. When were those houses built? Are you seeing where I'm going with this? So it's it's not on a mass scale. Everything's just being set on fire and everyone's just getting kicked out. It just happens so slowly. Like I said, my grandmother's house, with all the rich history that was in it, and all the land that she had, we all my mom ended up sleeping in her car. That's how she got her start. She was sleeping in a car, and it's like she went from having acres and acres of land, never having to be hungry, 14 brothers and sisters, to sleeping in a car and no one has any mother or father to guide them. And it's not happening on a mass scale. It happens in tiny little bursts. I mean, I didn't know about this school bombing thing until you told me.
Right, let's play that one more time.
Within 3 weeks of the Watts riots, Lowell Elementary in Riverside, California burned down after a mysterious case of arson. The Lowell bombing, suspected to have started by a Molotov cocktail. The school district agreed to integrate in 1965, making Riverside the first school district in America to desegregate without the enforcement of a court order. In September 15, 1965, integration began with Lowell Elementary School and Irving Elementary, present day, Abraham Lincoln High School, followed by Highland and Hyatt in February 1, 1966. Lowell Elementary no longer exists. The location was on Victoria Avenue and Cridge Street. It is now currently a church.
Well,
so right there, I thought that
currently a church.
Interesting. That didn't dawn on me, brother, either. But it hit me. I said, wow, Riverside has so much history. I wonder why out of all cities in America, Riverside, California had the first desegregation that wasn't.
It's connected. It's connected to ancient history. If you look at
Yes.
the four corners,
And Victoria.
Arizona, Utah, California.
Who's go ahead, but who's Queen Victoria? She was mixed. She was mixed. So go ahead. Because it was on Victoria. And then
allegedly Riverside, and there's like a river, and there's all types of ancient history, and that's why you have the Grand Canyon with like ancient shit. That's what Riverside is.
It's not alleged. I can prove. I already have pictures. People are telling me, brother, they've been visiting the Mission Inn in California all their lives and never seen the statues that I've been showing them outside. There's more statues than old Mecca statues outside of the Mission Inn. And then
send it to me. Please send it to me. Because like I said, when you activate that blood memory, when my mother showed me the pictures of what my family actually looked like, I actually thought she was lying. I thought she stole somebody's pictures. I was like, that's not what we look like. Because I was believing what I was taught in school, all the racist kids that I went to school with. I actually thought the truth was a lie because of what I was indoctrinated with. This is a fact. You can look it up in psychology. I can show a child a doctored image, and I can remind them of it 10 years later, and they will think that memory was real because it is real. I planted the memory into their head. So I can be indoctrinated with something that isn't true. And when I see the truth, it's going to blow my mind. When I saw these pictures, I was like, did my mom steal these? Like, and I was like, are these people black? What are these people? I'm looking at it. I'm like, this has been the truth the whole time. I thought you were full of shit. Everybody in Ohio saying that they were Cherokee, or everybody in Georgia saying they were Cherokee. I thought that was all bullshit. I thought that everyone was trying to be exotic. Like everyone tried to say they were from Belize. I thought it was the same thing. I was like, oh, they because everyone shuts us down. And if you go on the internet right now and say that you're something besides a nigger, white people racist people are gonna rush into that chat section, that comment section, and they're gonna say we was carrying, y'all ain't shit. They're gonna keep reminding you of some shit that's not even true. Right. Do it right now. You can do it right now on live. I could post a comment, and then somebody racist is gonna come in and say that no, you ain't shit.
Devin, tell him. Me and Devin experience that all the time on Facebook. Isn't that crazy? You get it, brother. And a lot of these people, that lets you know that we're on to something, that we are on the correct timeline.
You can have a mom. You can have a mom right now that's from Belize. You could be off the plane from Belize, and you tell somebody that's racist, and they're gonna say, "No, you ain't shit. You ain't nothing but this." It's like what the hell? I have the flag. I have the DNA.
So
what do you?
The lips right
you know what I mean? So you can't even tell someone the truth because they're gonna. A racist person will. They've been brainwashed too. They think that we're all kicking shit. And like God, it's crazy. And the internet is. I know some of it's fake because there's bots and everything. But this is something that, if you notice, it's not just California. It's been going on in Georgia. If somebody with Georgia says Cherokee.
You said a great thing with you said supposedly me and Devin and a few of us have been connecting the dots through facts, through artifacts, through research on Riverside County being a colony or civilization offshoot of Kemet, Egypt, which are
what's
more.
the thing that you guys have there? You guys have some type of
let me show you. So you guys watching, if you were listening to the school bombing that we're relating all this to as us being terrorized by Europeans. Okay, Riverside County and Riverside City had the first school that was integrated without the military. Like Brother Steven said, that had to be beyond military. That had to be on some royal crown stuff. Who is Queen Victoria? When we learn about the nobility of Europe, and we know that a lot of our aunties, at least some of us, for me, not all right. Here's how it goes. Some of us had to blend in. So the story of white men all raping the black woman and stuff, that might not have all been true. Meaning that you guys should watch Lovecraft Country, and then like you guys are saying with KKK and the Secret Spells, but basically they purposely made certain mixed kids to blend in, kind of like the story that the Nation of Islam's founded upon, to where a so-called white man, of course there was rape, but a troglodyte would have sex with a Moorish woman for that baby to pass, so they could still keep that inheritance in that bloodline hidden, knowing we were about to go through being black, being African American, being niggers, going through all this, but having family members blend in. And so when we look right here to people like a Queen Victoria or Anne of Denmark, which is going to relate to Lake Elsinore in one of my next lectures, to Marietta and Lake Elsinore, right here, a normal person.
Wait. What did you say?
Basically,
Marietta what?
Marietta and Lake
Elsinore.
Elsinore. I'm going to connect all that to the Moorish bloodlines, that all that is being held for us when we have these conversations and put it into act when we claim the land, not just running our mouths by claiming the land, by doing it like this, so by really showing people like, oh, wow. So basically, a normal person who doesn't know how our lineage works, they would look at this person and say, oh, that's a white woman. Not understanding when you look
Who was
close,
in that picture?
she's mixed. She's mixed. So if she's a mixed woman who's taught her more science but can blend in when she comes to California, that means that she possibly left our Moorish heritage, and that the pictures that you see when you see a woman sitting down and a man behind her, look closely to that white woman's hair, because a true European woman hair goes flat. It does not curl at all. But a mixed Moorish woman and pale skin European or Slavic, their hair will have some curl to it, just like Italian women do, or just like Queen Victoria and these other women. So when you see these women in these portraits in Riverside, LA, all throughout America, that man behind her is her slave. That you think that the white man's in charge and that's his wife. No, it's in reverse. And so I'm going to show everyone watching that the Mission Inn, which was a castle, because what they've been doing and teaching us the lie is that we don't think that all these great buildings that they cannot duplicate are ours. They got us thinking we're slaves and from Africa and God and the Bible, all this illusionary.
Complete bullshit, brother. Right. That's why they mock it, though. If you look in Las Vegas, you look at Riverside. In Riverside, what is that? What is that place that you guys have in Riverside?
I'm gonna show you right now.
The King Tut's. I'm
gonna show you.
What is that thing that you guys have there, bro?
It's right here. Look. Oh, you talking about Pharaoh's Lost Kingdom?
Yeah. But they make a mockery of it on purpose. It's not like it's there. Yes. Like we know the Luxor, we know all this stuff. The Grand Canyon. Oh, you're not allowed to go there. If it's not real, then why can't we go there?
Facts. But look at this. Here's the Mission Inn. Here's the Mission Inn Hotel, and it shows the Moors in front. So there's no longer an argument that the castles that you see all throughout the Americas were already here, and they were built by Moors that were excavated and refurbished by pale-skinned Europeans, either putting them in power. Listen, either putting them in power as what you would call the brothers, the pale skins who you see with the Shriners, for one day when we wake up, they say, here you go, Emperor, or they're still trying to steal it. And that's why you see a war between the pale skin Europeans. Again, they're going to war with each other over our knowledge, because possibly there are still pale skin brothers and sisters who are not racist, who do love Moors and do want to be free and do want to gain a soul. So we possibly are witnessing so-called pale-skinned European family fighting over keeping us down as indigenous people versus our so-called subjects who want us to live free so they can gain a soul, so they don't seek punishment.
Bro, I'm not looking for a check. So I just want the healing architecture back. If you look at what I'm looking at right now, if you look, I don't know if you guys can see this. It's hideous. It's construction. It's just big gray buildings. It looks like an institution. It looks like a jail. And I just want that. I want that healing architecture back. And the books are obviously like our true Bibles. Like I know there's more science and everything like that that kind of goes in, like the Taj Mahal, and it kind of goes into shit like this. But everybody wants that back. Even what's his name, who I don't agree with at all, Tucker Carlson. I don't agree with anything he says because he seems super racist. Like, but he said the same thing. He's like, I'm starting to feel depressed with the way things look. And the buildings don't look the same. And so even that person who's been brainwashed into racism is on the same page. Like I said, if you look at it, the Germanic people, the Norse people, whatever they were, they had some type of tribal nature, occultist type thing before that they were implemented with like whatever was Protestant or whatever white concept that was implanted on their brain, and then obviously our brain was implanted with what we just went over for the past hour. So it's like we got to somehow rewind. And it's so funny because if you what's really dangerous is that what you described the Klan the same way, because they didn't they hate the Christians? They didn't just hate us, they hated like
Jews.
I think they hated I think they hated religion. I think they thought it was a scam too. And I think what's so funny is that our enemy was on the same page. So we're both brainwashed, and we're both realizing like there was something underneath all that, whether it was the shamanism, even if you look at Dr. Sebi's stuff, all that stuff comes from the herbs and everything. The same birds are here. I could go on for hours, bro, but I'm just saying there's something there underneath this like veil
It's
that has
right
been
in
put
front of us.
over.
Well,
Yeah.
this is why our culture, like we're talking about the Indians.
How did you find this?
I've been studying Riverside. This is in Riverside.
This is from
County.
Riverside.
This is the called
Wow, bro.
Cahuilla band of California
Cahuilla.
Native Americans in Indio. And this looks similar to the swastika, but I call it the maze. I relate it to ancient Kemet. I relate it to the Stargate, and so much technology. These are clues that we left. Because for me, I say our ancestors are us in our past life. We are the same people. They just didn't teach us about reincarnation and all these different things. Like that's why they're erasing our families. But basically, I wanted to show everyone watching the proof that the Olmeca, the Olmecs, the Black Indians today, Moors, were at the Mission Inn. And like I've shown you in previous episodes, the music video with Drew Hill. I want everybody to watch this music video. It's called "These Are the Times" by Drew Hill. These are the times we all wish for, a moment to last me. You remember that song?
Yeah.
They filmed that video in the Mission Inn. And when you guys watch that video, you're going to see two Moorish families at war with each other. And that's what occurred at the Mission Inn. It's the war between the two Moorish families. You know, it could be the war between the Moors who said, man, we do not want these Slavs in here. And then there were the Moors who brought their Slavs to go to war with us. So there's so much of the story.
That's my point.
Have to figure out. So here.
Okay, so that leads to my point.
Right
so if you look at the Dade County massacre, right? The natives and the Moors were together at one point. If you look at Spain, the Moorish Muslims and the Jews were together. So we always align with someone to like. It's almost like we're caught in some type of like, because you see the Moorish Science Temple, he ended up getting into it with somebody in his own squad. So it's like we need to learn from the mistakes that we've already made, whether it's alliances or something. It's like we're almost there.
Yeah,
I'm picking up the pieces. I'm just thinking like how I could feel it, bro. We're almost there.
Feel this. Look at this. I want you to look at this. This is in front of the Mission Inn in Riverside.
Okay.
So look at the lips right there. We're at the Mission Inn, the historic Mission Inn where all the presidents stay. So look at the lips. That's a brother. Look at the nose still knocked off, and look, that looks like a fez on top. So right there we have Moors and Moors, Black Indians, still statues destroyed intact. Once again, this proves that we are the true Mesoamericans, and not only that, we are the true builders of the Mission Inn Hotel. How do we know? Why are there Moorish statues outside of the Mission Inn Hotel that they still allow for some of us to see? That most of you probably have been coming here all your life and never noticed, because most of the world is under a curse. And so if you're under a curse, which is mind control, you're not going to see things that are directly in front of you. But you only have a little bit of time to wake up. Because like I teach, when the mothership arrives, if you don't have enough information, you can't ascend. You're going to be trapped here on the lower realm. Jason.
Okay.
So right there, you even see the Indio. Look at the Indio Indians. Look how dark she was. So that's why I'm trying to teach people. the pale-skinned Indians, even the pale-skinned so-called Native Americans, where did they come from? Because when I look at the Native Americans of antiquity, let's take us out the picture as the so-called Negro tribe. Let's say the Native American tribes of antiquity, they were dark. And when we look, they look like James Brown. So back here in Riverside, in the city of Indio, what do we find? In Riverside County, the National Date Festival. And we find Moorish architecture all throughout Riverside County in the city of Indio, y'all. You see them practicing our culture. And this is how we gain our wealth back, Stephen. We gain our wealth back by reclaiming our culture and practicing it. Not practicing the Laker game, not being a Crip or Blood or the Christian and all that, because the Christians give all their money to the church. So imagine when we give all of our money with a purpose to our culture and to the land. So
I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna do it, man. I think I'm gonna move there, and I'm gonna move to a community, and that's got to be the first step. And I think what you're doing with the internet is important. The Kawila. I mean, I know we're close, bro. I can feel it, bro, because all the mistakes have already been made, so we don't have to make those same mistakes again. Whether it's potentate Shriners, whether it's the Moorish Science Temple, whether it's Islam, whether it's there's little movements that have made little tiny critical mistakes, and we can learn from all. We can learn from all of them. There's no reason why we can't learn from all of them. I know we're close. The only thing about it is, do you think that there is a chance to be sabotaged?
Yeah, I mean, we've already been sabotaged. But go ahead.
No. Because it's. I mean, it seems like it's. Like what? I mean, how much of a threat are we? I mean, what? Like, are we asking? Are me and you asking for the same thing? Are we asking for the same thing?
As far as what? Ask me. Freedom.
I mean, because you know how it is, man. It's like when you see these videos of people saying, "How come our land we can't grow our own grapes, our own apples? Why can't we do that?" And people say, "Oh, you can, but how big of it can you get before you get sabotaged?"
Well, for me,
how big is your garden allowed to be before they're like, "Hey, you're building way too many apple trees. You're done." Because if you let everybody else know that you can build your own farms and everything, like Zuckerberg in Hawaii, where he's got like his own cows and shit, then it's like, hey, you're done. Because if you let everybody know, that means this is over.
I hear you.
There's a meat industry, there's a vegetable industry, there's religion. Like if you stop giving to the religions, then it's really over. Because that has to do with politics. So if you stop feeding into the grocery stores, and it seems like a trap.
I agree. For me, like I said, it's only going to be a few of us as being the noble families again, because those who walk in that fear, we cannot rule with that thinking. We have to respect the fact and know that the land is ours. We have to know that Mother Nature is on our side. We have to know the things that we're saying are true. And like you're saying, you wanted your Indian reservation. You were saying it at the start of the show. Deep down inside, you were just needing more confirmation. And as the show went on, you were like, this is what I'm going to do. So you're starting to do the steps, whether it's working out more, eating correctly, being around the correct people, and distancing yourself from certain people, whether it's family, friends, distancing yourself from certain things you watch, listen to, because every day you wake up to this nightmare, this beautiful nightmare, trying your best to find your dream timeline. You're here, brother. It's a process. It's a process, but it only takes a few of us. There's only a few, like you hear the guy saying, well, the Jews, they came together and they run the world. Okay, that's great.
Oh, like you said in that video,
But what I'm saying, that should be a great example for all of us as Mers and Moors, or so-called Indians or Atlanteans, whatever name you want to call yourself. It still should be an example that it does not take millions of everyone to say, Jason, I believe you. Stephen, I believe you. I don't care if you don't believe me, because as long as I have a community of 10, 20, 100 brothers and sisters in my collective, we're all wealthy. I could, at this time, when you get to a so-called I don't like to say age, but a certain state of knowledge, you understand that you don't need all those people to be happy, to have wealth and to pass it down. So us as people have to get over the fact that you want everybody to come. Not everybody makes the varsity football team. Not everybody makes the varsity basketball team. And not everybody on the varsity team gets to play in college.
Yeah, I think Kendrick said something like, you can't take, he's like, I got to a point where I knew that I couldn't, you cannot take the hood with you all the time, everywhere you go. And you can only try to keep the tribe together. People are going to fall out. But you know, I noticed out here, like even in the Spanish community, they don't have like a YMCA, they have a gym or they have a community center. Just like the JCC, there's a Jewish community center. There's like a Hispanic community center where it's named after whoever, and it's just a gym. It's just a pool. There's art you can learn, and it's just like, we have the Boys and Girls Club, but how much did that really do for us? Like, I think that's the biggest thing. Having the architecture back wherever we can find it. If we can identify these old buildings and say it was ours, one. Yeah. Two, either turning that into a community center or building a new one that has a pool and stuff for kids to do. Because if you notice in California, what do you notice about California?
The Matrix University. Keep going. You described it. Like I said, we're building it right now, brother. We're speaking it into existence. Keep talking. When I was in Kemet, brother, see, this is why we're building as well. When I was in Kemet and I saw those temples and pyramids, the boy said, I'm about to build this.
You have to see it to activate your blood memory.
Build this. And so, yes, so some people might be watching and be like, oh, he built. Meaning, I'm in my head, when I saw those temples, I said, I can build replicas. It might not be perfect aligned with the stars of Orion and all that, but I at least know I can hire land surveyors to say, okay, I know that.
Make a smaller version.
Well, yeah, smaller. So we'll say, okay, on this day, October 25th, the sun shines here. So we'll build an edifice there. So because we know that it does that, we're intelligent enough and have enough land surveyors to build temples like this. I have a book by Layla Africa that I got in Atlanta. It's arranging and decorating your room, building, garden, home for success, health, beauty, and power. They call it feng shui.
So you have the blueprint
every day. And so when we see the temples and all these so-called villages, what they call Africa today, that are just underdeveloped because of the Europeans tearing us up, but still the villages are basically set up mathematically. They're set up like an Incra code.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, how do we get back? I know there's like a more science Bible that gives hints to it, and I know there's like Eastern Ottoman and like Taj Mahal. Like it's lost. You know what I mean? Like we had the info, we used it, and then they erased that period of history. So if we can get that back, the knowledge is almost more important. Just like you said, bro. Just like you said, when you go to a synagogue, they teach you as a kid how to be a Jewish person. These native places, they teach you how to be an Indian. If we can rebuild our shamanism, it's not a joke anymore. It's not something that you just do in your backyard with just your kids. If we can make our own Boys and Girls Club and call it the Mosaic, I don't know what you want to call it. You know what I mean? Whatever you want to call it, bro. If we can do that, where we can have our own classes, where it's secular, it's not religious, but we can teach our own math, our own geometry, our own patterns, and like we could do that, then it's just like everyone else who has that. Other people have that. They teach their own geometry, their own sacred geometry. It's like that's all we want. We're not trying to take over the world. I'm not looking for a check. I want to build the healing architecture with the etheric, whatever the fuck that was there. If we could find that, identify it, and then, like I said, make some sort of community center. And if I could just do that much, I'll feel like my life was accomplished.
And that's what we're doing at the Matrix University. People say, oh, don't say it. No, that's what we're doing. We have the children's book. We have the VR. Next step is the brick and mortar. Next step, the land. I'm already building with my brother in the city of Colton at the Black Seminole Reservation, to where soon, let's say, example, brothers like LeBron James and all the NFL players, once I'm in charge with certain land and stuff, you brothers better not be playing in the NBA. You brothers better not ever play for the NFL. And it's a shame that the NFL didn't boycott over Shedeur Sanders. Excuse my language, that's a fucking shame for you niggas to still be playing for these racist organizations while Deion Sanders done giving his life to keeping the NFL alive. All of you brothers keep the NFL alive, and you gonna let them dog out one of our young brothers so the rest of the young gods can feel less than? Because that's what it's done. That's what you guys are doing by not boycotting. So we don't need those type of niggas. I don't want those.
But it's money though. Can you blame them though? There's a lot of money involved.
We have our own stadiums. When we have our basketball stadium, our football, soccer stadiums, we're gonna have the best brothers and sisters playing on our land, and the other so-called races are gonna have to break bread to see us play. And that's where the wealth comes. That's why we have ball games. We would settle wars and trade with ball games, ball courts.
Well, that's what I was going to make.
Gambling. The Seminoles. The Seminoles are the first to do gaming casinos. So imagine that, to where people can come in our land and bet on the basketball game, not slot machines on some satanic stuff. But when each tribe, let's say the tribe of Miami is going against the Washita Riverside, from Atlanta Thunder Rock, we take us versus the Choctaw, Alabama. People all over the world will come to see those football games and basketball games and track meets. People, when they go see Circus Soleil on our land, we're going to have stuff like that. Because people, once we build the land, they will come. Like you were saying.
They already come to our strip clubs. So it's not like we can't get them to come here. Because they clearly like to see us do whatever we do, whether it's dance, play, shake our booty, or whatever. Yeah. But if you notice, one thing I will say, if you notice this, right? If you look at Mayweather, Adrian Broner, all these people who come from the Midwest, which is where I'm originally from, that was one of the weapons that we had was like boxing gyms. Even if it was like dripping wet and it was like snow and we just had a bag and some gloves, it's one thing that kept the culture alive in the Midwest, because the Midwest is rough. Not just the weather, but like the racism too. Now, if Southern California is the king of squabbling, why aren't more boxers coming out of there and more players too? Like, I think Schoolboy Q played like football. It's like, for some reason, I'm seeing something going on where there's not more boxers and more players coming up out of SoCal, and I don't know why it is, because it seems like
much love. You gotta, like my friend growing up, he was a heavyweight champion title contender, Chris Areola. That's why I tell people I'm Mexican brothers and sisters, so it's all love. But they have a community. And
so yeah, it's like they
have their community and they support each other. And like you said, a lot of the brothers, they're addicted to hip hop now. So a lot of the brothers who might have been boxers now want to do hip hop. Boxing now takes discipline. If you smoking weed every day and doing all that, and you think you're gonna be a heavyweight or a lightweight champion, think again.
Oh yeah, you're not drinking lean in boxing.
And then UFC, they've taken out the karate dojos, which represented arts like the tiger, the dragon, the crane, which taught you about Mother Nature in the art form of the dragon and all those things, and replaced it with ultimate fighting. No art, just brutal fighting, because they're training to kill us. They are training to kill you, and all these little things of these fake murders, the Donald Trump thing, the Charlie thing. Why are they getting mad at you? Why are they dragging you in? Why are they hanging people? It's because it's a soft war crime. It's to let people know you better start getting your land together.
Tighten up.
You better start, there you go, tightening up on your knowledge. That's what's going to keep you free. That's what's going to keep you protected.
Well, they test you. They test you too. So they test you by doing something to see what community is going to react. So you know when the George Floyd thing happened, SoCal was not playing that. I've never seen something like that ever. Like the swarming, I didn't even know that many black people. If you ask anybody, you didn't even know that many black people lived in Southern California.
Because they're all
everyone came outside. But what I'm saying is everyone came outside for that, and no one's ever seen that, even since the '90s one. So they test you by putting this in the media and seeing like what community is going to jump on this. And if you look at SoCal, like that was way far from where that happened, but you see that the reaction that it had. For some reason, we all just watched that dude get murdered with blood dripping out of his neck, and then everyone kind of had to pause. So that was awkward because everybody saw that, and everyone just kind of paused and was like, "What did we just see?"
During the Jason months. July, August, September, October, November. Before these months started, I tell everybody during these months, they do mass murderers. Every year this happens. It's just that now they're making it more Hollywood. Now they're bringing Hollywood to real life. Why? Because now that the Hollywood studios are done, they're not making money on the TV shows. Those companies still own the cameras. These companies still own ABC, all the small ones, and all these new outlets that you see on the internet. They're controlled by these Hollywood people. They're the ones making these people go viral, famous.
It's still a show, yeah.
I mean, there's millions of people on the internet, and then they choose one person, and you have to. It's the same thing as a music contract. You got to take someone running with Candace Owens. Those of us who went to college and went to big schools, you know that black girl who used to want to be white and used to get trains ran on them by the white frat dudes. Candace Owens is that black girl. She's that black girl. So they use her once again to make them feel comfortable.
Because she's already isolated.
Right.
She's already isolated from the community. Yeah.
Right. And so once again, it's all a mental psyop to create a reality that did not exist in your reality until you watch the TV, until you watch the Black Mirror. And then it spreads. And then they give you a problem solution. All this is leading up for Halloween, y'all. I promise you. It's leading up to the holidays. It's the energy. It's the energy. It's the death, the murder, the bloodshed. Because as you see, since Hollywood is ended, some of us know it's ended, but to the public, it hasn't caught on yet. So basically, there's going to be a few of us who have already woken up or risen from the magic spell of Hollywood and religion and all that stuff that they've given us, versus those who are thinking that this is real. That's what we call the ascension timeline, to where people are waking up saying, man, this movie used to spell like this, or this building was here. I remember this. It's because they're changing the timelines. They're using CERN. They're changing the history. That's why they burnt the books. That's why they knocked off the nose of all these edifices, changed the maps to confuse you when you come to this realm. They give you a date. Oh, it's 9 o'clock. It's September 21st, 1981. You know, they're trapping you in light, using words which are spells, because you have to spell words. So like you were saying, those people who are still caught in religion will experience that, because they're still allowing someone who's not even there to dictate their reality. And so when I was with the Zulus, that's what was confirmation that until someone comes with that Bible, Quran, Jesus, or the word God, that is not a reality. You can be happy, farming, have a relationship with the sun, build buildings without God, without Jesus. And how do we know? Because there's something called BC, before Christ. Before Christ, or prehistory. So what were you doing as a people before Christ?
I mean, think about it. If you look at the Moorish games, if you look at the Jewish games, whether it's like the I don't know what that game is, backgammon or whatever it was, and then there's like the dreidel. There's simple things that we were doing before.
Yes.
And even if you think about Arabic, the first thing that you want to do to learn Arabic is to read some sort of Bible, right? But what about all the Arabian Nights oral stories, the stories that we just thought were stories? But people are taking these stories, some of them, and they're saying that they are like true. And it's just like, okay, we can take these stories to teach our kids how to read. And then we also want to teach them math, geometry, architecture, finances, and all these things. But I feel like we're covering it up with some shit that just is not true. And for some reason, we're not telling people that it's not true, because we're just putting lies on top of lies. And I see why some countries are saying, like, you guys are not at the top. At the top, we control the religions almost.
Yes.
Like, we control the religions. Yes, you're allowed to practice it. We've already, we're saying that this shit is not true, but you have the right to it. You have the right to religion, but you're not allowed to use the religion to do this. And for some reason, the place that we live, I thought was like that. But it's kind of, I'm realizing now that it was kind of a lie, that they have not separated church and state. And I don't blame anyone, because I know it was a way to keep your money safe. I'm sure you've met a pastor or somebody who is able to keep you safe. And I know there's churches out there that feed homeless people and like go to Haiti and build shit. But it's just like, there's a mistake that we made, man. I'm telling you, there's a mistake that we made by doing that, by picking up that thing and aligning with it. I'm telling you, man. Like,
I 100% agree. Like I said, it takes away from our even the word more. When we see moo and we say these words moo, murr, when we say these tones, it vibrates
differently.
With our literal soul and chest. It activates our pineal gland. So when we start looking at these symbols in the architecture, the art to facts, that's where we create our reality. You can plug into this building, not just in the physical sense, but meaning that you can plug your mind into this building and saying, wow, let me study this building. Let me study the architecture. Let me study the dome. There's so much science because you're a scientist. And so when we're left alone, that an example is that's why there's an old kingdom of Egypt, a middle kingdom of Egypt, a new
Upper and lower,
kingdom of Egypt, a pre-dynastic Egypt. You know, so that means that this was 10s, 20, 30,000 years of brothers and sisters getting up, down, left, and right.
Yeah, empire. It's crazy.
And so look, I want everyone to look in the middle of this picture because I wasn't going to put it in. I was like, people aren't going to believe you, Jason, because I was digging into Ellis Island. And then I said, look at the building. That's how I know it was real, because it was on the public library site when I was getting these. But in the middle, look at these Moorish women. Look at these sisters of the Gilded Age.
Nobility.
Look how our people were dressing, and look in the background, y'all. The background is the Moorish castle. It's the same building. You see in the back?
I don't know if you can even go to it today. Can you still go there or no? It's Immigration Museum. Okay.
I'm not sure. I know that they said a majority of these buildings were burnt coincidentally. So I'm not sure how it looks today. But anybody watching this, look up Ellis Island. But look at a portrait. We always think of the poor Slavics, the European, pale-skinned Europeans who came. But what about the Moorish Europeans who came as well? And then it says to the right, 3 women from Guadalupe, apparently actually en route to Montreal, Canada. Out of everyone else in all the pictures, they're the only ones, you know. And so
well, Canada's a different story too, because they have so many. I've been there because I'm from where it's close to Canada, so it was only like 45 minutes to get to Canada. Wow. And they're pretty much onto something too. I mean, they're onto something. Like if you look at the old maps, I'm telling you, it says California, it says America, and it says Florida. That's all it said on there. So before Canada was even there, before the States, it was just those 3 things. And Florida, I think that they're onto something. The people I met there, I'm telling you, when in Canada, it's different because it's even more diverse than it is here. Because there's people from Somalia, there's people from all different types of places. And I'm not saying there's no racism there, but they know that it's different than here. Like they kind of laugh at us because they know that we're stuck in a time loop of like, you guys still think white is real? Like you guys still think black is real? Like if you ask someone that they're white there, they're gonna tell you where they're from. But we're still caught in a time loop of the white concept and the black concept. If you want to say I'm a black American, yes, I've accepted the BA. I'll take the BA. So the bachelor's, I'll be a black American. But you know, all these people, even in the UK, when these people who make fun of us and say like, you guys don't even know what part of Africa you're from. Well, guess what, motherfucker? We know who we are now. We know where we're from, and we're not from there. We were told that, and you were told that. But these jokes that even other people make, you guys don't even know what part of Africa you're from. It's like, well, you know why? It's because we're not.
Bingo. I like that.
And you guys know it too. The people in the UK say the same thing. I had foreign exchange students who know this. They're British, and they know. Like, they know the truth, and they probably look at us like, damn, like, you guys got hip-hop. You guys got, like, Chris Brown. You guys got 50 Cent. But, like, man, like, now that I'm here, like, you guys are really caught up on some bullshit. And it's true. Like, once you look behind the media that the rest of the world looks at, which is our music and movies or whatever, it's like we are still kind of caught in that time loop. And I just don't know if we're going to catch it before some type of reset or whatever the fuck's happening. I couldn't tell you what's going on. Like,
Well, there you
I
go.
don't know if it's good
I like
news or
how you
not. Like,
said that. I have a book called, you guys can order it on Amazon, The Secret
bro, you
History
got all the good shit, bro.
The
The
Secret
secret
History of
history.
Human Resets, The Great Mud Flood of 1834, The 1587 Plasma Event, The Biblical Flood, and Other Historical Theories. And oh man, it's just amazing. It shows like all these buildings that you see that we talk about. These buildings were all in New York, all throughout the Americas, y'all. And
Okay,
so
one
when we
second.
talk about Ellis Island, the reason why I brought that up is when you plug in the buildings that are behind them and you learn, here's what it says. Let's get into some facts as we start
Thank you.
closing it out. It says Ellis Island is an island in New York Harbor, United States of New Jersey and New York, owned by the U.S. government. Ellis
Okay.
Island was once the busiest immigrant inspection processing station in the United States from 1892 to 1954. Nearly 12 million immigrants arriving at the port of New York and New Jersey were processed there. Approximately 40% of Americans may descend from these immigrants. So right there, it states, and then also, where is it? It was one more. From Ellis Island was the primary port. 12 million immigrants arriving in the U.S., most of whom were from Europe. So that means that over 40%, and I'm sure it's higher than that. And then also when I was reading, y'all, it said that, like me and brother Stephen were talking about, these people didn't come with these last names. They didn't have names. A
I
lot
think
of
you
them
can
did
just say it.
not have names.
I think they
So
even recommended it to you. I think that the person that was standing there, if your name sounded a certain way, they would say like, "How about this?" That's what I
yes,
heard. I don't know if that's true or not, but
yes.
like that's what I heard. That like you
I
could just say
read it.
something
I
else.
read it. It was the
I mean,
processing station. They
I didn't hear
gained
that for no
people.
reason. I don't know if that's true, but like,
Look, yeah, and look, it's called Ellis Island, and the name derives from Samuel. You know Samuel, what that means? The devil, Satan.
yeah,
So Samuel Ellis. So right there, we hear Moorish. We hear Moorish. We see a Moorish castle there, and so a Welshman who bought the island. Who did you buy the island from? And so when I was digging more into it, it said that most likely the Native Americans did not develop civilizations there and develop permanent settlement, and most likely they were just hunters and gatherers. So basically, they're telling people on these internet sites, Wikipedia, Chat
that they lived in
GTP,
huts eating berries.
right,
Yeah,
there you go. And so if you don't know the true story of Ellis Island, you are confused about the Europeans, because today we're hearing Europeans say that they're Americans and they're not.
yeah.
And
I saw that. I saw that debate, and I was just thinking to myself, like, man, like
it's
that
scary.
person needs to hit the switch too, because if you look at the Germanic and the Norse peoples, I think they were conquered too. They had their own in touch with nature, not a religion. It's not a see, for some reason those two things got mixed together. It's not a religion, it's just a culture. And it goes back to the Druids as well. It's not necessarily magic. They're trying to say, yo, you shouldn't do that because it's magic. They're saying you shouldn't do it because you're gonna know about spices and you're gonna know about the skies and you're gonna know about astronomy. Here's this thing so we can control you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like it's not just us, bro. It's not just the natives. It's places all over. The reason why they covered it up is because you're going to know too much, and I need you to drink Coca-Cola and eat McDonald's. I don't need you to be using spices to cure yourself. You know what I mean? So it's like if that's kind of the truth that I'm starting to figure out is just like at the World Fairs, what were they debuting?
Technology in our ancient worlds. And if you had enough wealth coming from Europe, you were able to buy either technology or purchase ancient maps. So example, let's say I went to the World Fair
It's
in
all money, yeah.
1854, right? And I'm a
Okay.
wealthy aristocrat from Europe. I'm going to a World's Fair, be like, where are the maps? I have enough money to open up the city. My dad and them, they do canal, woo woo. And you for $100,000, you get a map and you travel with your compass, and you find it, and there you go. You find the hot springs that they were talking about, the ruins of a Moorish castle, and then you claim the land. Oh, nobody's here, just like they do now. They call it squatting. So what you see Europeans doing, they're squatting on Moorish land. So when you hear so-called white people say that people are squatting or people are illegal immigrants, we have to remind them of Ellis Island, which was we have to remind them that you guys came here illegally, were given false fictitious names, and then you not only that, you played a role in the Hollywood game of you guys are Americans. So eventually your offspring believe a lie. But your forefathers knew the lie. They knew you weren't American. They knew that we were already here. They knew before getting to the America that this was the land of gold and what they call honey, rivers flowing.
The rivers of the Nile. The rivers of the Nile is the same flag as it was over there. That's why in Egypt you still see the red lines, the red stripes. It's the red rivers that turned red in the Nile River.
Yes.
We had that without the stripes and stars. We could. I'm telling you, I have family that lives in Flint, Michigan. Like my dad's from Michigan too. Okay, so that's why if you look in Detroit, there's like that Moorish influence is still there.
Yes.
But also in Flint, people only know because I have cousins and stuff in Flint, right? But people are starting to pick up on Flint now because of rap music. There's music coming out of there. Okay, so again, rap music is another tribal thing. We'll get to that on another episode. But people need to understand that they were there too, because who would pick that? If you let people tell it, I'm not even kidding you. People are going to tell you, after slavery, Henry Ford was so nice to all the black people that he said all the black people should come up to the north and work for me. And it's like, you believe that this racist motherfucker actually did that? Like you don't like
it's Detroit. Detroit.
And mooring stations.
Because we already have
mooring stations.
We already have these technologies. They didn't build these factories. They just got from Europe, a cold climate, no vegetables. It was the Moors who brought technology and algebra.
When have you seen one building? And this is a legitimate question. It's not a rhetorical question. Is there a time where we can name one structure that looks like the Taj Mahal or any of the stuff that I've shown you or you've shown me? We have not seen it. Unless it's at like Disney World where they try to make some type of replica, but it's nothing real. Like, when have they ever had some type of patent or some type of permit and they've rebuilt something that's actually good architecture? It hasn't happened.
That's because they're not the builders, and that's the key to erasing our dream, because it's all a dream. So if you can erase our dream of being magical beings who build edifices, can fly, can grow to 15 feet tall, do all these, because you got to remember when they speak of these giants, they came with lumberjacks. Imagine what America looked like before the lumberjacks, y'all. We don't even live in those times with all the trees. Imagine before they came and created these dams. So when we talk about the Colorado River has a dam on it because the Grand Canyon used to connect and go through Riverside County. That's why it was called Colo Ra. So the flow Ross River. So Colorado River.
Riverside makes sense, obviously.
Is Ross River. And the now Riverside of the West is on Riverside because California was an island at one time.
But why all the effort though? What is why?
That's what I'm saying, is to trap you in a matrix hologram, because they want your soul. If a person dies here thinking that this place is real, you get trapped here and you cannot graduate because they have us thinking that money, getting your certain degrees, and all these fictitious realities are graduating, and it's not. Unless you have a certain vibration and a certain amount of knowledge on symbols,
you're not going to ascend.
You cannot graduate. You cannot get up out of this realm. And so if they can trap you here by people thinking that this is the only realm that there is, they don't even teach us about dreams. What is the difference between this world and the dream world? You know, what is really the difference? They don't tell you that. That's why they give you days, months, years, calendars. Like right now, Jason months is my months to remind me that I'm in the Matrix hologram and this is my virtual reality suit and I'm here in a video game, while other people get hypnotized. So just like people should wake up by now. We're about to experience Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, click. It's the same thing. It's the same thing over and over and over, and you end up dying thinking that this is real, when in all actuality, this is a nightmare realm. We haven't got to our dream world where we're building the pyramid or living in antiquity, and you can see it, and that's the main thing.
Well, why is it that?
Well, go ahead.
Why is it that the new immigrants know that, and I don't get along with them? It's like I don't get along with the newer immigrants, but they know the truth and they stick up for us. But for some reason, I don't get along with like I'm in Miami. There's a lot of Indian people come here, a lot of Arabs. There's a lot of people from Israel too. There's a lot of different people, and they know the truth too, and they're almost sticking up for us. But they don't stick up for us all the way. They're almost like, you're on your own. Hey, we're here to fucking bleed this. We're here to bleed this place and get the money and get the fuck out. So they still believe, like Indians. Like if you look at Indians, they love India. Like they love their hometown. They love their, I'll call it hometown. They love their homeland. They love the Hinduism. You know, it's called Hindustan before. They love it, and they like the Asians are the same way. You know, UCLA, like they're gonna make their money here and learn shit, but it's still kind of like they're attached to somewhere else. We don't have that.
Right.
We don't do that. Like we're so if you notice, like why nobody really aligns with us is because they're like we know the truth, but you're kind of on your own, bro. Because our family and our people are trying to do this for Japan. Like my people are trying to do this for India. So they're
like I use myself as an example. You know, great accomplishments, but there was a time where I was drinking out of drinking problem, dog. And I was just blaming everyone, you know. I had to go through hell, the DUI, the jail, back and forth, through drinking, blaming it, and then I had to accept it. No one was gonna give me the hand, and until I stopped, because people were like, "Nigga, I believe what you're saying, but when your ass starts drinking, you become a different person, Elm, and I can't fuck with you, homie." And so it almost ruined my life. I lost everything, rock bottom, because of liquor, and it was my fault. So I had to pick up myself, and once I picked up myself, even though people were there, then there were brothers and sisters and family who were like, all right, not an extending of bread, but showing me love, giving me encouragement, saying, yeah, Jay, because, and same thing as an athlete, a coach is gonna put all his time into you if you fucking around all the time. Same thing with a teacher. So it's up to us. It's up to you at first as an individual to pick yourself up or get left behind. You cannot rely on anybody like your mom or someone would say, well, so-and-so did this. I ain't worried about what so-and-so did. I'm worried about you. And so that's what you have to do.
What's the choice that you made? Yeah.
You know, and get around the right team so you can win the championship. Not everybody, most people are in the bleachers. Most people watch TV. Most people live vicariously through other people. That's why they say people are going to get left behind.
Hey, but people want us to win, though. That's what's different about the last generation.
That's to answer your question. That's because all the other so-called people who know they cannot go further in space and time as far as us as the indigenous gods of America, the American gods dictate reality. That's why when I went to Africa, they're like, "Oh, we saw my nigga," and I was like, "Yo."
But if you notice, I genuinely believe that the new America, which is what we're experiencing now, that all the Germanic people are afraid of, all the Persians, all the Armenians, all the Japanese, all the Chinese people, they love us. And they're sticking up for us, but only to a cultural extent. That we are still on our own. Like, they're not going to politically help us, but you can tell that it's a new day. Like, we are walking on a new America because all the new immigrants know the truth.
Until we're walking around like this, as a majority, walking around with these.
I mean, like,
you feel me? Different schools of thought,
the feds,
knowledge, because then they know, oh, that's not a nigger. I can possibly trust. He might not rob me. He might have his business together. Because if you're draped as a dress as a nigger, why would I want to build with you? And that's the whole point of getting our culture in line, taking our culture back. Why do you think their elites wear this fast? Their elites wear this. So it's either the ones who are holding your information, for some of us who wake up who are the nobility. Some people who don't care, brother, they're not noble. Not everyone comes from the king bloodline. Not everyone comes from the queen, the empress, the priest. Some people were janitors. Some people weren't even born. Some people were just civilians. How do you know? Because you can see how people are acting today. You could see it.
Can we do both?
Huh?
Can we do both? Because I think people are, because we know hip hop is the tribal beat. We know that that's from here. They try to say that it's like some type of drum pattern. You don't hear that same drum pattern over there. It's facts. If you can find it, show it to me. But like we know that comes, yeah. Like and you need that.
That was beatboxing.
Yeah, AZ Chike, all those beats that those kids still use. Yes. All those kids still use those same beats. We know that that's from here. I think we can do both, because you're going to scare kids off if it's like, no kid is going to put on a fez when he wants to get a Washington Nationals hat. You know what I mean? So it's almost like we can kind of do both and like do the copper thing and say, hey, like, you know, we used to wear hats with copper on it. We used to have, you know, that there's got to be a happy medium. I think, right?
I agree with you 100%, but this is what I'm saying. Once we have the land and even doing it now, all it takes, for instance, all it would take is if Kanye West or Kim Kardashian started wearing a fez, I bet you girls the next day in America, they might not know what it is. It's influence, bro. And that's what I said. The kids watch what we do. They imitate being a pimp, being a gangster. Same with the girls. They imitate Sexy Red, Cardi B.
We got to mix it in. So we got to mix it.
Yeah. Kyrie Irving, he's setting the example now for the NBA guys. He's saying, man, I don't want to be just known for NBA play. I want to open up arms. I want to do this. That's a step for that brother. He started, you know, and even though he might not be saying what us as the so-called super intellect saying, but it's a step. He has those shoes with the Indian stuff on the bottom. That's a step. So you sometimes, if you ever see an Indian garment thing, buy it and start wearing it, and that'll be cool.
Mix it in with your sauce, yeah.
Cool, but go ahead, my bad.
No. Like I'm telling you, we're onto something perfect, because we come from fashion anyway. If you look at the old people, the tribal people, they were wearing jewelry, not like shirts. But if you see what they did to the baseball teams, when I was going to the Boys and Girls Club, a lot of the kids had the new era fitted caps, but they had the Negro League hats.
Wow.
So if you look at what they did to the Cleveland Indians, what they did with the Washington Redskins, they just decided like, hey, like we don't want to offend anybody, so we'll take it away. We can do the same thing, but when we make our teams and we make our clothes, you know what I mean? We can put our imagery on it, and that way it looks cool, and you can mix it in there, and you didn't even know I mixed it in there. So you can't hate on it because you didn't even know I mixed it in there.
There you go. You just said it perfect. And I see a few brothers doing that with the Olmec shirts, and that lets us know you start developing your own clothing lines and sell it. We start supporting each other who do cultural, authentic, and cultural relevant clothing. I think that's what Kanye was basically trying to teach us, is that when we control the fashion and control the garments, that's a part of our culture.
The Confederate flag was one of those, because I think that was like, the Confederate flag was like, I think he probably knew the Moorish roots of it, and he wanted to do it without saying it. Because you see that with denim tears. Denim tears, like, it's like one of the most popular hoodies out there right now. And what he did was he put the cotton rings to almost flip the slavery thing on his head. Like, I made it cool to wear those cotton rings when really that was from slave time. So him and Kanye and those type of people kind of are flipping it on its head by saying, like, I'm going to make this fashionable. That way you'll talk about it. It's like a tattoo. Like, I go up to somebody and say, what does that tattoo mean? Or I go up to you and say, what does that hat mean? Now we can actually discuss it, because I'm mixing it in with my sauce. Like, I'm mixing it in with my fashion. You know, these images are crazy.
That's exactly what he's doing. We talked about that with the Black Nazis. So even in the cartoons, they talk about us. Alibaba Bunny. You know, I was with the lady, and one of her daughter was talking about Bugs Bunny, and the phone picked it up, and accidentally thought she said Alibaba Bunny, and this popped up. And I thought it was symbolism for us as Moors on Mars. Marvin the Martian, that's her brother. We know that the Etruscans and the original Romans and Greeks are us, right? Same with things with the Cometians. So that's Marvin the Martian. He's a Moor. And then Bugs Bunny steals, he tricks Marvin the Martian. And then Marvin the Martian has a dog, which I felt represented the Sirius Dog Star. And so Bugs Bunny tricks Marvin the Martian and steals his technology, which is a flying craft, and gives him dynamite, blows up Mars. And that's the episode. You guys can look it up. And then the Alibaba Bugs Bunny, they're showing you that we as Moors have treasures. When you understand that the Colorado River and the Santa Ana River was flooded, that they call us pirates, that we had steamboats and all boats and treasures are all through here.
Well, there's silver and gold there too. Yeah.
They're looking for our treasures. There's treasures in the Mojave Desert when the Santa Ana River dried up. So like you were saying with the coins, so they don't want us to find these artifacts that are our wealth because we don't need
receipts.
The currency. There you go, receipts.
It's a receipt. It shows you that these people were here. Even though in Chicago, the architecture is literally still there. Nobody's talking about it because it's just there's other stuff going on. What is this? Crescent Bathhouse.
That's the Crescent Bathhouse in Lake Elsinore. Once again, Lake El. Lake El Sanor. And once again, you see Moorish architecture in Southern California during the late 1800s when we know that they just got here from Europe, so they didn't build these edifices. And then once again, connecting, like you said, imagine us wearing these garbs again, like Michael Jackson was kind of trying to show us when he was dressing, So just getting into what you were talking about, how they put the mind trick on us. You remember?
Can you go back to the star? Can you go back to the star?
Which one?
History of the Book of the Dead. What was that?
What? This one?
Right there.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
That
4,
was
5,
just
6, 7.
That was showing an example of not only the movie The Mummy, for everyone should go watch that movie.
Yeah, they have the dirigible in the movie. The Mummy Returns. They have the black guy who they have to use. He takes a dirigible and they have to use him to travel over the ship. Like it's just, like the signs are there.
Yes.
But like I said, we got lost in the sauce, and I think that people have been trying to help us, but I think it's at this point there's so many new people here that it's like we really are on our own because people are looking out for their own. You know what I mean? So having a good talk is definitely helping. The LLC thing, that formation, I think is helping too. It would be nice to, instead of trying to get a loan to buy a property or to build one, to get a patent so you can like build something, a government code. It would be nice to like if we could find and identify an actual serpent mound or burial ground or some type of actual architecture that we could claim. I don't know how that would work, but we got to find one of these buildings. Someone in America in one of these buildings, whether it's St. Louis, Detroit, or wherever, needs to plant their flag and say, we're not buying this. This belongs to us, and it's going to be in this trust or it's going to be in this LLC, and this is going to be a community center. You cannot buy it and tear it down because you guys keep tearing down all the brick buildings. You keep replacing it with whatever they're like office buildings, WeWorks, Regis buildings, Chick-fil-A, these like tombs.
You there, brother? Oh, they cut him off. I guess that's it. But maybe he's coming back. And I'm just looking at the comments, y'all. I haven't even been looking at them, been so in tune with the episode. But it looks like his phone cut off. We're at the 2:13 mark. So as we start closing out, oh, here he comes real quick. He's back on. Thought I lost you. You there?
Audio coming in. Let's see. There we go.
I
don't know how we're gonna do it. If we get his claim one, I think we start off with making a list of like potential buildings that we could claim. I mean, you know what's going on in Chicago for years. They've had the same kind of problems that has been going on in SoCal. They have similar gang structures. It's the same culture. We know that our tribal culture is there. It's hidden inside of those politics. It's hidden inside of the hip hop. It's hidden, like, we know it's there. We just got to find the actual healing building, like the building that has the etheric copper top stuff that me and you keep talking about. And if we can identify and prove that it's ours, we need to plant a flag and say this is going to be inside of this trust or this LLC, or it's going to be a monument, and you can't knock it down.
Well, that's what they fear. They fear us taking over our buildings, our castles, our structures. That's why
I don't want anybody to leave. I don't want anybody to. I don't want anyone to leave. I'm not even looking for a check. Everyone is on the same page that we're building nonsense. Like, we're building square gray buildings, and there was a meaning to this stuff before. Like, even probably the Ellis Island building. There's probably some type of properties that we know it's the story about the bells and the cathedrals.
Yeah.
Why haven't we done it, man? Is there someone saying, hey, you're not allowed to build this anymore? Did they lose the blueprint? Did we lose the masonry? Did we lose the masonry? Did we lose that knowledge? Like, what's like, is it too expensive?
Haven't been,
like,
it's the same thing that they were teaching me when I was in so-called Africa, Kibulan. It's not that we lost it. You see how, look at all the black inventors of the 1800s, 1900s. It's not, we just haven't been allowed during this era to develop our own technology, like the movie The Black Panther, like Wakanda. So when they fear when we are left alone with our own natural resources, our technology and land, what we will develop, because naturally we get information from the sun. We literally get music notes and information that downloads into our so-called neuromelanin that gives us information at a faster rate, that process is so quick that, like I said, allows us to do these things that they
okay.
cannot do, that we have to teach them. So unless we teach them, or they kidnap us or forcefully surround us, they cannot travel to these realms. They won't know how to do these things. You know, it's us who puts them up on game. And so that's what they fear. They fear us going into the new frontier, which is already in our DNA, which we can prove we've already done. Like you said, so when we're on Facebook, we could call each other nigger, bitches, hoes, gangbangers, all these things. But the moment we start claiming our culture, they get mad. Why? It's because it destroys their world. When we claim our culture, you got to remember, they've been vampiring off of our culture. So their reality is based off of our ignorance. So when you go into certain shops, and it's people who don't look like us, crystal shops, herb shops, all these ancient sciences of sound healing, and you see them on the internet doing it. You see them with the Disneyland and theme parks and the new techno crystal technology. It's because we are not practicing our culture. And so they make millions and billions and trillions off of us being ignorant, and they can live in that dream. Example, the NBA. If black men or more did not play in the NBA and NFL, there would be no NBA and NFL. That reality would not exist. And so that's what they fear. Their reality, literally, the higher level, them learning how to dance and them how to rap. You remember how back in the day they used to come up to you and say, why do you guys call each other dog? Like, dog, And then, Then we started telling them, dog means my brother. Oh, what's up, dog? And then, well, you guys aren't brothers. Why do you guys call each other brothers? Now you see them, what's up, brother? Same thing with the word nigga. They get empowered by copying us because they don't vibrate on that higher level. So in order to be around us, they have to drag us down to our lowest level, because that's the only way they can mimic us. So when you see certain Caucasian men or Mexican dudes mimicking us, they mimic this. Hold on, give me a second. Give me 1 second.
I see it. Okay.
They mimic this. Yeah, what's up, nigga? Yo, what's up, homie?
But that's what they imitate.
Yeah, they imitate that.
That's ours. Yeah. But they take the whole Rolex chain, the whole style, which is fine. But I don't want you telling me that I'm low IQ and that I can't swim, when I can tell you that the reason why we don't swim is because the institutions wouldn't even let us have pools or to be in pools. We
Right?
had
They were
boats. We were
right.
on boats. So how? What do you mean? Like what? Like we were on boats. How do you think that we? That's another lie. So it's ridiculous. But some of us are helping us, and I hate to say it, but a lot of people don't like the jeweler community, but the jewelers know, because the people who design the jewelry are
Right.
fully aware of what they're doing. And I think that they're trying to fuck over the races too. Let me see. What do Moors, wild men, and werewolves?
Because this is who we're dealing with. We have to remember when the Moors came, they weren't bathing, they were not shaving. So how did a group of people who had hair and lice all over their bodies, living in caves, living in the forest with no technology that they admit to, build all these buildings here in America? They didn't. And same thing with Europe. So that's the main thing, is to find your dream and live in that essence of a reality that's wealth. It reminds you that you're the wealthiest people and person on the planet. And what they don't want is they don't want to be shown in their true antiquity. Because once we question and tell them, well, you're not Americans, you're not white, because I'm not black. You're not the original Germans. You're not the original people of Sweden. You're not the original Europeans. Matter of fact, the studies just came out and they showed that there was a literally genetic mutation in the shift of either new people or just a genetic mutation where pale skin Europeans came to that region. So that means if Europe isn't your home, where do you come from? And that's what they're doing. They're killing. They go around, not all the individuals, but as a collective, they go around killing and murdering and destroying evidence of past advanced civilizations. So when you come back to this matrix hologram, you think you're coming back to everything antiquity, where you could fly, charge up in your buildings, do all imaginative stuff you want to do. They locked that down and erased it and give you a false reality. So if you plug back in, they're the gods. They're the ones who built the land. They're the original Americans. They're the philosophers of math and science.
Well, you know what's funny? What's funny is I'll let you pick this up however you want to pick this up. When they say not to mark your body and not to shave, when we know that all of the Egyptian wise men shaved their entire bodies to be clean, and a lot of them had markings on their bodies, like we actually used drawings as communication. And if you know anything about manifestation, you can't just write it out. In order to bring something into fruition, you need to draw it. And that's why I keep bringing up sacred geometry and I keep bringing up architecture, because there are manifestation properties in drawing, and we were drawing. If you look at the Mayan hieroglyphs, the hieroglyphs that they hid in Southwest, the hieroglyphs that they hid here in Miami, we were onto something to where we were drawing it, and we were bringing things into fruition. And it creates a spell when you draw things.
Yes.
And obviously, not just tattoos. We're talking about architecture, all those shapes that you see. In order to draw blueprints, like drawing is something that we are supposed to do. And I believe that they enslaved us with letters, because we knew what to say by seeing the picture. That's why even today, to this day, if you say, oh, what are you reading pictures with books? Oh, what are you watching a movie? What are you watching a movie? I actually read books. So it's like they're tricking you into think that imagery is wrong when that is the way that you manifest things. When you made a movie back in the day, you had to draw out a storyboard. And you had to draw the pictures. If you were able to draw, you were looked at like somebody like, you know what I mean? Like you were actually manifesting, because through your hand, you were drawing it. That's why I keep bringing up the calligraphy and I keep bringing up the architecture, because it's a huge thing that we are going to be gone from, because we have the phone and everything. People are going to stop writing. People are going to stop drawing, and we're going to have all ugly shit. See, why doesn't our shit look like that?
And that's Riverside, California, y'all.
No way, bro.
And so once again, if you come to Riverside, California now, why doesn't it look like that? It's because they studied all the fires. All these mysterious fires that took place in the Americas. All these mysterious mud floods. They weren't mysterious mud floods. They were done on purpose. Some of these heat when they came here, got our technology. We already had technology to control the weather. So when they got the technology to dam up the thing and change the weather, it would rain for 40 days and all this stuff. So look at downtown Riverside not too long ago, y'all. Look at the dirt roads. There's no way in the world that a group of Europeans who just got here from Ellis Island could have built this that quick. And that's why there's dirt roads.
And if so, how did you do it? And if you want everybody to work for you, who were your workers? Do you see what I'm saying? Like the math ain't mathing. If you had to come through a place that was already built, and the Irish didn't make it, the Polish didn't make it, the Germanic people didn't make it, it's not adding up. And that little conversation that no one has ever had is what has made everyone blind, because I have never heard anyone had that conversation. Everyone that I know says, like, yeah, my parents, my people came here from Ellis Island. I don't know. I think we're Polish. I think that we're Italian. I think that we're Russian. I think we're this. And that's it. That's how the story goes. I'm like, so you admit that was already there. That place that you came through was a place that you and your family wrote on a piece of paper. They took your picture. Go there. Here's your welfare. You're going to live in this suburb over there and start the American dream. And that's how it went. And no one can tell you anything besides that, because they're not from here.
There you go. Boom. They are stealing your identity. They're stealing your dream, y'all. A dream where we are free. If you're dreaming it and thinking of it, it's inside of you creating your own community with farms, nonviolence. If you're sick and tired of racism and you have it in your mind that we can build buildings of copper and stone and reclaim certain lands, we're doing it. Have no fear. The ancestors are here. You are the ancestors. You've been here before. You are an immortal being. They have to stay here. That's the whole point. They have to stay in this dimension unless you take them to new worlds. So they have to trap you so you can take them to new heights. If you lead them, if we separate from them, guess what they go back to? They return to their nature because they have no one else to vampire off of. And what did they do before they came amongst us? What were they doing? What were the Germanic tribes doing? They were killing each other. They were murdering each other. They didn't have time to build ships and create sciences and math. We were living under the sun before the land of time.
Well, so my biggest point is if the technology is so great, which it is, like the technology that comes out of Germany and the architecture that is still there, so the old and the new is so beautiful, it makes you wonder, why in the fuck would you leave? Excuse my language, but like, why would you leave? Because if you have heritage, you can go back there.
Because they didn't.
You can go back there, and the architecture is, they still have it. All these places in Europe still have the architecture that I'm desperate to meet. I'm not gonna say we, but that I am desperate for. I'm desperate for that architecture now, and I'm starting to get thirsty for it because I'm starting to touch maps. So I'm touching old maps, and like the blood memory is activating. I told you when my mother showed me family reunion videos, when she showed me the images, the actual pictures, and these people in my family that looked ambiguous, I'm like, what is going on here? I'm thinking to myself, I'm like what language did we speak? So now I got to figure out what language was it, because if I can figure out what language was there, then that means you know your roots, right?
Yes.
Like you could figure out your roots if you knew what language it was. That's why I said with the Moorish coins, you could prove that, first of all, that there was Arabic influence on the Moors, and you know that those Moors probably came over here from Spain or from Germany or wherever. And then with the natives, if you could figure out the tongue that they spoke, whether it's Iroquois or the Seminoles or like Navajo, there's like hundreds in your area, like Southwest. If you could figure out like what tongue they spoke, and if you could find the hieroglyphs, now you have receipts, and you could figure out, yes, I know that I'm from here. But if you build shit on top of the hieroglyphs, I don't have my receipts. I don't have my receipts. It's almost like the lost info. Like I said, the lost info of the architecture. Like when you showed me go back. That petrol one is hilarious. The guy who discovered, like, how did you discover it? I asked the locals where it was. So you didn't discover. How
Right.
did you how did you discover a city that was already? How did you just like that's so funny when people say that. Like, how did you
and
discover? Oh, I asked the locals where it was. Oh, okay.
and there's a Mecca in Riverside, California, Riverside County. And so I
It
was
is.
just wondering, yes, there's a Mecca, the city called Mecca. Look it up, everyone watching the show. There
Okay.
is a Mecca, California, and it's located in Riverside. And when you guys look at it, they call it the Painted Canyon. And it looks like it's been blasted by plasma technology. So once again, we link Riverside
Direct
County
energy.
next to the Colorado, yes, direct energy weapons, because just like Brother Steven said, if they can erase our history with factual, solid stone evidence, books, they can trap you in a matrix hologram. And that's why it's dangerous, because we have, for people who have children, that's why you have to protect the youth, because you are the youth. If you have to stay here, or if you have to come back, or if you are an immortal being already, and you like I could come back and jump. I've been here before. I'm a creator. And so when you come back here, sometimes you think you're coming back for fun. And so then you have to remind yourself, did they just do a memory wipe? Or no, am I here to save some of my people? But also, like the story of Osiris, Aset, Geb, Nut, we fell to this three-dimensional avatar spacesuit and forgot that we got lost and trapped in what we would call space and time, which is our atoms, photons, neurons,
Soul
trapped in
trap.
light code lockdown, a light code prison, which is our avatar bodies. And now we're forming together like Voltron to ascend to higher levels. And so, like you were saying, the map. So earlier, we were talking about the World Fairs. So this is the International Exposition of San Francisco, California. And what do you see in the background? You see all this amazing architecture, but you see a pale skinned woman, but what does she have on her head? She has a Moorish sister type wrap. So she could either be mixed, because you have to remember that, just like in the middle picture, Stephen, you remember when I said that in these pictures, we think that this so-called white man, that's his wife, which they say may be. But in all actuality, through my studies, she looks like an auntie who passed for white, and that was her Slavic slave. So we could handle business as a family. But what happened is, like the crack, the Trail of Tears, the flooding of our cities, the burning, certain family members getting, all this stuff happened to where a lot of the magic and blood magic and family things that we were doing got lost. Like you said, the family reunions are no more. So there's no more stories now of grandma being able to go further into
Oral
detail
history. Yeah.
about us being Indians. Why did grandma always usually stop? Because she would remember. She didn't want to tell you all the atrocities she might have saw. She might have saw her cousin get killed. She might have saw her granddaddy or someone or grandma get raped. You know, these are tragic things that back then we didn't know. The best thing to do was not talk about it, because if grandma talked about it in the 70s, 60s, and 50s, and someone you went to school and told one of your so-called white teachers, guess what? Someone's coming to your house, whether it's the police, the Klan, you losing a job. So it became such a secret. That's why we had to develop our secret societies, which you were saying eventually got infiltrated just like anything else. But here we are. The grand architects, the true master masons are us. We are that. We are the original sons of Maya. We are the sons of Maya. We are that. We are the gods. And it's not just saying that, it's proving it through science. So when we
Receipts.
look at the International Exposition, this is what Brother Stephen was showing us and teaching us, that you were able to purchase maps. And the maps that they gave us today are not the real maps, because if you knew that California was an island, if you knew that there were maps that showed where there were Moorish castles in 1700s and pyramids that are covered up, you will understand where we're at in the war of the mind. This is 1915, y'all. 1915 is not too long ago.
Well,
And that's why, so to end my little rant, to give it back to you, they
yeah.
put us on a time spell. because when they give us these false histories, the Hollywood, and if
Identities.
you don't have enough knowledge, when you go to sleep, you start dreaming of fictitious worlds and dreams that don't exist, and you're creating fake worlds. So they don't want us creating real dreams, because our dreams, when we base it off of our culture, are real. And like you said, we can bring it down. We can bring it down through drawing and writing, or we can bring it down through hums and tones and things of that nature. So go ahead. So to me, y'all, this sister is a mixed woman, and she's a Moor, and that's why throughout Riverside to the right, look at that building. How did they build that in the 1800s or 1900s? They didn't. That's why if you look at the buildings, they'll always say erected in 1819 or 1900 or risen.
Founded by or something like that.
There you go. There you go. Founded by.
This
Because
is
they
so
didn't.
funny.
And so
You found it already.
Yeah, and that's where we're at. Look at this building. These are all in Riverside. All these ancient structures.
Okay, are they still there?
No, they're burnt. They're burnt.
And they replaced it with factories. The only thing that you know the Inland Empire for now is its budding factory jobs. That's what everyone is talking about now. Oh, they're hiring out there, man. They got factories out there now. They're replacing it with industrial revolution. It's like a miniature industrial revolution is happening in your area. They're building all these factories and Amazon warehouses and shit. And, we're so busy pumping out whatever that they got pumping out. I don't know what warehouses you guys got over there, but
Amazon, Skechers. We have the worst air in America.
Okay, see what I'm saying? So they're having their own industrial revolution on top of shit that was, I wouldn't say it's, I would call it sacred. It doesn't have to be a temple to be sacred. And that's kind of the biggest point I want to make from this long conversation is it doesn't need to be an actual religious temple to be sacred. We had sacred geometry and we had sacred architecture, and we crush it so we can build shit to make people slaves in the warehouses, like we did with the motor capital, like the Motown. Like we did that before. We already made people slaves, and we made them buy these stupid things and these stupid gadgets and things like that. And we're getting rid of slowly all of it. And now people are noticing it. And I think that's what we're going to come to pretty soon is people are going to start to ask questions. They're going to be like, wait a second here. Like, why does everything feel different? Like, didn't I grow up in a brick house? Like, didn't my grandma have this? And then some people who aren't from here, they're going to be like, man, I can't really identify where my great grandma is from. How did we get here? Oh, we got here on this island. You know what I mean? So people are going to start to ask questions while they're in this little matrix. And I think it's going to unfold. Would you agree that they're doing it on purpose? Like they're kind of letting us figure it out, or like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, they're giving us time because, like you said, for me,
is it going to happen again, or like?
Well, through my research, there's always an invasion. There's always a reset, and they erase history. So, like in this period, imagine being in a civilization where you know through calculations, oh, there's going to be an eclipse. This is going to happen. Da 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 da. And then it being stripped. It's almost like a game in a sense to where some of us are going to be the royalty and nobility of the new world, bro. I'm telling you, it's the knowledge quest. It's not the money quest like you were saying. That's not going to get you to the next level, even though that'll come. We need currency flow to get structures. But when we have each other and our inheritance and all that, it's going to happen. It's already happened before. But yes, the reason why I say that so-called white people, pale skin, whatever name you want to identify with, that there's some of them, a small amount who want us to succeed is because some of them want to gain a soul. Some of them understand that you are what they call God. Some of them understand that their mother is the so-called Moorish woman, the so-called Black or African woman. Some of them respect that and understand that, and they know that in order for them to go higher to the realms, they have to be in a respectful position. In a sense, when they would come to learn from us in what they would call ancient times, it wouldn't be necessarily in a servant institute like that, but it would be as a student. Like when you respect your teacher, are you going to a real professor's class? You come there to learn. You respect the teacher. You don't talk. It's the same thing. So the roles would be reversed. Many of them cannot handle that. And
Why
also, they
is that,
cannot
man?
handle this level of information. Those spontaneously combust. That's why we have all of this melanin, because we are born with this supreme intelligence. So our capacity of what we are capable of is what they fear. Because you see us flying through the sky with sports, you see us tapping into all the stuff that they've done. We're still figuring it out after all they've done. So, what is the next frontier? The next frontier is you activating what they call your pineal gland to make direct contact with the mothership, with the mother chip, with the source, not just getting the information, but telekinetically calling your motherships that are here and up in the sky under the ocean, your extraterrestrial friends who vibrate in your ancestors, and using your mind to say, we need help. And once you understand that, we can look at the buildings, those are charging stations. But what were they purposely done for? We know that they were done for healing purposes. We know that they were done to destabilize your atoms with sound waves to travel throughout the planet and galaxy through portals. But also, we had our own Delta Airlines, just like they have so-called NASA. We had a space fleet, and they're going to return. Raw turn, not return, raw turn. Raw is going to turn. Either that sun is going to move and a spaceship is coming. That's why they call it Ra's vessel, because being that you are raw, when you're capacity, when you're operating at your highest level, and when you're with your brothers and sisters with clean water, your resources, you're going to build innovative things. So you're going to eventually tap into bending space and time. So if they're doing certain technology now, imagine what you've already done. But just like your father or mother tells you to clean the house, get ready for this, just like your coach says, all right, because I put it on me with, let's say I didn't win CIF. I came in third place. We won the 4x4, but because I stayed out late as a senior, I got in a car accident and I didn't win certain things. So you have to prepare. You have to see the signs. If we're having these conversations that have never been had recently, because we're able to use Zoom calls and StreamYard, that means that they, like you said, they're giving us an opportunity to prepare at least a little bit of fair playing field before some of us turn into, for me, real superheroes. But we shall see, because the others, that might be a pipe dream. But what do our ancestors in antiquity say when we start operating at a higher level outside of building structures? They start talking about how we could disappear, how we could fly, how we can morph into certain beings, how we can activate things with our voice. This is what they fear. So they give you a movie like Dr. Dolittle with Eddie Murphy. Who is Dr. Dolittle based off of? It's based off of brothers like this. George Washington Carver, you know what I'm saying? Who was said to, well, he said he could talk to plants, he could talk to Mother Nature. So that meant that you can do the same thing. So they fear that because, like you said, when we don't need them, we don't need them. And we don't need them anymore. That's why they're poisoning the air. That's why they're poisoning the water. That's why they're poisoning every natural resource on the planet, because they know that everybody wants to get away from them. But the only reason that the world hasn't got at them is really because of us. They're giving us enough time. So when the Hindu brother at the store, they don't know if you want it, because I've seen them say hello to a brother. They'll be like, oh, and then they'll say, what's up, brother? Assalamu alaikum. I'll be like, alaikum salam. Oh, my brother, you know. Or if I come in with the feds, because they don't know where you're at intellectually. But same with the Asian brother, even with your so-called European pale skin brothers, when the majority of the times when they see you with your fez on, they'll either put their head down because genetically it reminds them of what time it really is, or they'll come up and they'll be like, I never met a Moor before.
They respect you like as nobility.
Yes. And so I remember in front of my friends, this was years ago when I started rocking it out in public downtown. And they were like, oh, he rocks that. And they were like, the professor was like, no. And he was testing me. He's like, do you know what that is? And this and that. And I said, yes, I'm a Moor and you're a Slavic. Woo-doo-woo. And I broke it down. He was like, whoa. And he said, that's true. He said, you are Moor and you are the nobility. And he said, congratulations, I'm proud of you.
They won't say it out. The people that are on our side just won't say it out loud because I
Why?
think it's because they have their job to do too. Like they have their liquor store that they run, they have their
Yes,
smoke shop, they have
they'll
their
get in
chicken spot.
trouble.
Yeah,
Yes.
they have customers too that they might offend if that makes sense.
Yes, because they're at war too. Because you got to remember, their lands got infiltrated by them as well. Everywhere they have went on the planet, they have caused havoc and mischief. And it's not to point out what they would say racist. It's the truth. We're dealing with a parasitic people, and their culture is the opposite of ours. Our culture is life, and their culture clearly is death. And so, if they can manipulate us to not know that this is our dream, our land of freedom, justice. This is why everyone in the ancient world came here and we traded. This is why you see all the drugs that they say are illegal, because we were trading psychedelics. We were trading psychoactive plant property. We were trading mushrooms. We were
Yeah.
trading fungus for different trips because we weren't worried about racism, and our ancestors do not have stories of a group of pale-skinned people living amongst us prior to when we were talking about when we were subjugated with the Irish and things of that as indentured servants. Once again, much love to all people, but imagine, like they said, a black planet. Imagine a planet where it's dark-skinned, woolly-haired people or dark-skinned, straight-haired people, and the advancement that was taking place. You can only trade with people when there's some type of love relationship. That's why we're able to find corn and maize in the Egyptian temples in Kemet. How? It's because we were trading with each other. We were trading knowledge, trading fruit, seeds, star maps, ways to create edifices to travel the stars and get knowledge and information in this infinite plane of existence. But if someone can convince you that there's YOLO, you only live once, if they can convince you that a word called God is the Almighty and Jesus is, if they could convince you to believe that that is real, well, then they've trapped you, like you said, in a world that is based on words. Because at the end of the day, when people say God, Jesus, the Bible, as much as they want to say it's them, no, it's based off of a book. And that book is based off of word spells, like you said. And just like a book, it becomes a never-ending story. Of course, we want all of our people to be free. This is why we're doing things like this, creating our 501c3s, our businesses, the Matrix University. These conversations, brothers, for people who need a way out. A lot of people just don't know this information, but we're providing them an opportunity before who knows what happens. If the grid goes off tomorrow, the knowledge that you know now is what you know. You know what I'm saying? Because at
Absolutely.
times, panic and war, it's hard for people to develop. And that's why so-called black people or black Americans, you still see them and see us as more innovating compared to the Native American. And this is the proof for me.
Thank you.
You
That's
know,
gonna hurt some feelings. That's gonna hurt some feelings, but
it's the innovation. So I asked all of the so-called Native Americans, now that we've shown that you had to be trained to be an Indian, now that we see that even the dark-skinned, straight-haired Indians do not look like the ones that they somehow came out, and then through our investigations, we see that the Asians, the Chinos, and then all those watching, there's a place in California called Chino Hills. And who stays in Chino Hills? The Asians. The Asians stay in Chino Hills, California. So coincidentally, once again, Chino Hills is where the Asians stay. And once again, the Chinos, which they disrespectfully would call the Chinks, they brought them over here as well. Once again, mixing in with the dark-skinned, woolly-haired people who were here. So the question goes to, who are you and where did you come from? And how do we know? They say in school they came from Siberia. They came across the land bridge. So all due respect, you are, they could say native, but you are not the true indigenous original people. So what happens is when we say you've been given our money, our land, and you've been given casinos, yet the majority of you have not created such innovative things as us as indigenous people. So for me, that proves that under the sun, you are not getting the same amount of information and vitamins and nutrients that I am under the sun. And that's why when you look at a lot of the so-called Native Americans, when they get older, they get real wrinkly. That's because they're not indigenous. They come from the snow or colder climate. And so they use the California missions, like you see to the right. Look at all that. Where did they come from? Those aren't the dark-skinned, straight-haired Indians of antiquity. Those would be the Chinos, the Asians that they brought over to replace us as American Indians. So right here, look at the boarding schools. Those are all Moorish buildings. So they moved Indians, the Siberians, into like the Sherman Indians and all those things, and they abused them as well. And so right here, as we start closing it out, y'all, we see some pictures of the Yamasee of today. The top left, you see a Seminole. He was known as Gopher, I believe Gopher Jones, but Gopher something. And then it says the Underground Railroad had lesser known routes that fled to Mexico. Mexico refused to return any refugees that fled from slavery because their constitution, every individual who is considered as a slave at a foreign country shall be freed and protected under the law just by entering the country. So once again, you saw that the Seminoles knew a route into Mexico. How? Why? Because when they came into the West Coast in California, the majority of what you call Black Indians died from diseases. The other ones who fought, the other ones left in what you would call Zeppelins or spacecrafts. Others went down in the tunnels. Others left into the South Americas, like you said, the Canadas, Americas, into Africa. And then others were enslaved, taken to other lands, or taken down south. And then the others went to fight what we will call the down south Yamasee, Gullah Geechee Indian wars. So basically, we've been fighting these invaders the whole time to protect our dream of being free. And there's some magic, like you said, behind. And that's the gift, y'all. If we've gone through all this, imagine the gift of what's behind the veil in this lifetime. So stay focused, stay diligent, study your artifacts, study the Asian slaves of colonial Mexico so you can start identifying the people who have stolen or attempted to steal your legacy and your dream. Because like I said, if you die here thinking that this is real, you die. But remember, you are immortal. You are an infinite being. So it's time to study. It's time to get on the knowledge. It's time to study your Yamasee Indian Wars. I have friends like Brother Crip Jesus, who has the Blue Bible, and so many other authors that you see the American Indian Wars. And to end it, look in the middle, you see that brother holding a device. You see him holding, it looks like a shield in his left arm, and that's a device, y'all, because we had electricity on this land. Because when they arrived in Florida, those buildings were already there. They already told you, like we always say, the U.S. Navy was formed because they were fighting the pirates in Florida. And after they got done fighting the Moors and the pirates in Florida, they went and started fighting the pirates of North Africa. And who are the original pirates? Right. And so they use words like Berber, Tartar, Tawny, Swarthy, Sephardic. They instead of Commission, they'll say Egyptian. They'll use words, spells to trick you into believing a false wordplay when just like you said, Yamasee takes you to a reality. Mer, More, Atlantis, Mer, Ra, Amun Ra, Hasetepen Ra, Amun, Imhotep, Doja, Washita, Chakta. when we say these names, like I said, those are calling on our ancestors, and those are names that they do not want us to call. They'd rather have you call on the Los Angeles Lakers or other names. So when we start saying our names, you're going to get contacted. I'm telling y'all, and you figure it out. Like you said, it's a maze. It's like the show Westworld. Watch the show Westworld season 1 and go through, and that's what we're in. So only a few of us are gonna come online and get up out the maze, y'all, and figure it out. And so this message is for all of us. Like I said, no matter what color you are, if you're about freedom, justice, peace, love, and harmony, you're my brother and my sister. Because at the end of the day, we're all still made of atoms, photons, neurons, and electrons. Thought, you know. So I'm thankful I'm in this neuromelanin spacesuit. But for me, I'm in a multiplayer video game. So let's try to find a way out this maze together and not get distracted. So don't let them create black and white. That's not real. Religion, all these things are done to divide us as infinite beings. And don't allow those who are not immortal beings to bring you down so you lose your stripes as a god, basically. Because that's what's happening. You see a lot of immortal beings doing things that now they can't come back into the empire, you know. So don't lose your soul, because always remember the all-seeing eye, that sun is recording everything. The ant records everything. The plant records everything. The bee records everything. The ka, the ba, the spirit, everything is being recorded. So it's showtime. So the last frontier is the spacecraft. That's what else is next? The robots and the spacecraft, them creating stuff like they're doing now with people, you know, and that's not making fun of anyone. We're decoding that this is Hollywood, and that your politicians, your new actors, your new YouTube leaders, they're all part of the program to keep you in fear, to keep you divided, and to keep you believing that the world that they're creating using their television, their newspaper, to deceive you into thinking that this is all real, but really you're in a matrix hologram, and you're here to experience magic, fun, and wonder. This racism stuff and division has to stop. We didn't come here for this, and that's why I said the main solution is separation, not color, but separating from those who do not have the same mind state and principles, while calling on that mothership, knowing that that's real. And that's what they fear. They fear our ancestors returning with advanced technology, picking some of us up, or putting some of us on a landmass to be cool and be free, while they come here and kick tail. Jason Elm Street Williams, Master of the Universe. Steven, do you want to leave us, the audience, with anything before we close it out?
That was it, bro. Jason, I appreciate you, and I thank you for having me on. That was probably like the most important. I needed that conversation so bad, bro. So thank you.
I love you, brother. Thank you. And you opened my mind so much. Hopefully you come on more anytime, and get some pictures for me, because I'm really interested in your teachings and your research. Because like I said, this is teamwork. Your experience in life is different than mine. So that means the knowledge that you've acquired is going to be a different perspective. You're going to discover things that I haven't discovered, because you're in a different time zone. We're all different entities. It's so fun. But
exactly. Hopefully you can scout. Hopefully you can scout and maybe go to Skid Row or downtown, any place where things are hidden in plain sight. Like it's adding up. I lived in New York. I lived in LA. I lived in Vegas, and I spotted things everywhere that are starting to add up to what we came to now. So I look forward to showing you the new stuff I found. Okay.
I'm excited. So next week, hopefully we could do it. You gather some research, and we do it for the people. And as always, we're in that matrix hologram. But these are the Jason months, y'all. I'm telling y'all, if you thought this was something, you got to remember they are making money off of all of this news. It's Hollywood. So stick to your script, not their script. Remember that they just got here through Ellis Island. They're new. Remember, they brought this homeless. There were no homeless people back in the day till they got here. The diseases, we already see that our ancestors were farming herbs, built healing devices to fight different parasites. So people coming bringing parasites from foreign countries is them. And so these are the people we've been dealing with. Do not allow them to trick you that they are Americans. They are citizens of the United States of America, which is a corporation. And so their mission is to take over your land. Their mission is to kill your dream of being a god, of being a Moor, of being an architect, a scientist, a mathematician. They want you a gangbanger. They want you a thug. They want you believing and worshiping God outside of yourself. They want you under a word spell and a device that controls your reality. Therefore, you're no longer thinking for yourself, trapped in a beautiful nightmare when you're supposed to be living in a dream. I am Jason Elm Street Williams, Master of the Universe. Check you guys out next week. And so I'm going to leave you guys with some of our technology. So just like you see all of these so-called leaders yapping their mouth, well, I'm going to show you guys the importance of not. So let me close it out with this. And you guys can see that the Matrix University is progressive. So if you are into knowledge and education, download the VR chat. If you have MetaQuest headsets, we have our own virtual reality university. We also have a video game. If you're an artist, a poet, if you're a lecturer, a presenter, if you want to network and build with a new cosmic community, it's happening in virtual reality and in VR. So here's an example of one of our immersive video game worlds that we have. But first, I want to show you guys what we're in. Wake up from the Matrix hologram. Our ancestors built video games. So did you. They want to trap you here and make you think it's real. It's time to start preparing to either unplug or ascend. Some people want to stay here. Maybe they plugged in to be here through certain times. But some of us who are ready to go, that is a signal. It's probably most likely a signal that you've given yourself. Okay, it's time to depart. Like you're getting ready for Cancun, ready to go on your field trip. Do not be prepared. There's a reason why a lot of us are, even though it's a small amount of us, it's a lot of us saying this because it's true. And so
So look at the list.
to show you,
I have black.
well, I'm trying to show you guys my video game world, but I guess I'll show you guys next week. But here's how one of them look. But here, let me share my screen before we close it out. Y'all got to see this one. So
Moses 369, Olympics University. Let's get it. Freestyle sessions.
What's going on, man? Shout out Dr. Jason. You know what I'm saying? We in the Matrix University. You already know y'all come put up on us. You feel me? This the place to be in the space to be. You already know. You know what I'm saying? Real conscious artistry. I got this song for y'all. Let me see. Hey. This the type of shit that we get into. If they send you up, we spin around some back and get through. I'm up around the play like a just so for my selection. And shit fuck around the hill. You this pretty sick on. I'm like a sick on. Not moving nothing like the other. This ain't no fan, but I'm really sicker than some butter. I'm from the gutter, but you know I had to.
we have an immersive virtual reality world. We're going to be having concerts, major artists. Who knows? Doja Cat might come through. Kanye, Ye might come through and have a concert in here. So you're going to be able to advertise in the virtual reality because, like I say, they want you guys in here anyway. So we might as well be in it to create that currency flow.
Woman made reviews and now they claim I'm the one who done it. Man, you pull up to my city, I'm gonna show you who run it. Man, there ain't no camping in the ground.
So yeah, that was just a little example. I wanted to show y'all one more real quick before we close it out. See if I can do it.
Welcome to the Matrix University. We got one of the greatest artists in VR chat right now, brother MC Moses 369. Let them know about yourself.
What's going on, Dr. Jason? You know what time it is, man. Hey, I'm MC Moses 369, the biggest truth to do it. Real conscious artist of the metaverse, man. Hey, the first of its kind. Y'all come in, we in the Matrix University.
Yeah, take them through. I'm gonna follow you, man. Let's take them to the temple. You know.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
So let them know what's going on in the VR chat world, man. Let them know how this is the new Facebook, Instagram, and how, you know, it's important to be up in here with this new frontier technology.
Yeah, man, it's the beginning of it. The technology is very expansion. It's growing every day. You know what I'm saying? And it's only getting better and bigger by the day. You know what I mean? It's kind of small right now, but it's early on. The people that's getting into it right now at the beginning of the frontier. So it's an amazing place to be, bro, for networking and connection, bro. And just to expand to artistry and creation in general, man. You can make money here. All type of events are able to be hosted, bro. You know, it's an amazing place for everything, bro.
Yes, sir.
I can speak it to the ears. Will anybody hear my music? Is anybody out there? My pops is tripping. And like, you need to move out. The belief is too much. Well, I'm like, what, mom? I went to Africa. The American dream. A lot harder than it seems. Brothers banging the blocks. Sisters punching the clocks. Children's raising themselves. So they raising up hell. Who is created equal? God. I do it for my people. Tell me, who is God? Cause in my mind, it's all of y'all. I can speak it to the ears. Will anybody hear my music? Is anybody out there? My pops is tripping. And like, you need to move out. The belief is too much. Well, I'm like, what, mom? I went to Africa. Travel the planet. Understand where we landed. Backpack the motherland. Then I came back with the master plan. While these scared motherfuckers run the church, we run from the cops who shoot us under the dirt. Suffering is suffering, pain is pain. Tears are fears on a rainy day. A white man suffering, a black man can speak it to the ears. Will anybody hear my music? Is anybody out there? Mom and pops is tripping. And like, you need to move out. The belief is too much. Well, I'm like, fuck, mom. I went to Africa. Been here before. God of the Matrix. Listen to my flow. Yeah, I touched the cheetah's paw. Kissed the rhino, y'all. Went to an AIDS clinic. This was authentic. No pretending I am a relic. Saw a little cage on a block. Orphan at the age of 5. Pops and mama done died of AIDS. AIDS in the mind, it's all the game. I can speak it to the ears. Will anybody hear my music? Is anybody out there? Mom and pops is tripping. And like, you need to move out. The belief is too much. Well, I'm like, fuck, mom. I went to Africa. I can speak it to the ears. Will anybody hear my music? Is anybody out there? Mom and pops is tripping. And like, you need to move out. The belief is too much. Well, I'm like, fuck, mom. I went to Africa.
Welcome to the world-famous King Tut Museum. Be sure to respect the ancient relics. The ancient Egyptians were a magical people who built numerous beautiful, magnificent structures, like the world-famous pyramids and temples. No running inside. Scientists till this very day still do not know how the Egyptians built the pyramids.
I wonder, did aliens ever visit ancient Egypt?
Wow! Look at that giant Egyptian statue! It looks just like you, Jason!
Thanks, Toby! You're a super cool friend! Imagine what the world would look like if I was the pharaoh!
Jason, you are daydreaming. Wake up.
Sorry, history got away from me.